Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fantastic evening here at AMX Global Season 3. It's a great day to be back wherever you are in the world. Big thanks to you for joining us. If you're watching this live or via video, we're happy to have you on the show today. We will be starting off with a little trip around Okayama, and then we'll be iterating as we move on to our AMX 10 race a little bit later on. It's going to be a great day of races, as always. I don't even have to know what's coming up. We already know it's going to be good. It's been a really good week of races so far, and we want to go ahead and start things off in a little bit of a different way by introducing our new and fancier upgraded TriCast. And let's go ahead and start by introducing a new member of the team. All right, Drew, Dr. Swank, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the AMX family if they don't know you or haven't seen you before.
Yes, my name is Drew Swank. I am a up-and-coming Twitch streamer on Twitch, obviously. And so I'm new here on the AMX Global I almost said podcast. I'm a little nervous, I'm going to be honest. I've never really done this before. I have a lot to offer you guys, though, I swear. I swear.
No, it's great to have you, Drew. And, of course, everybody knows Brad here. Brad, are you also a little bit nervous today?
Reed, that's my secret. I'm always nervous.
You're like the Incredible Hulk, but for anxiety. I gotcha. No, I'm sure we all have a lot to identify with here, whether it's me, the totally normal one here, or Drew or Brad. It's going to be a good day of races, and I can't wait to get into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got the practice session going on right now, and then we'll get into qualifiers, and then we'll go into our heats for the day. It's going to be a good day of races, so let's go ahead and get into it by breaking down what is going down here today. So we're going to start off with, as we always do, with
Alright, so to pick up on what Reed was just saying, we're going to start where we always do, talking about race format here. 15-minute qualifier, and then we're going to reverse the grid. 2 heats, 15 minutes each, roughly, and it's always going to be reversing that top 15. So, of course, dates September 20th to December 10th, over $25,000 in prizes given out, and it's the most hard track combo you're going to see, and it's the biggest variety that you're going to see going through the season here. Definitely, it's something big to be a part of. Of course, Drew, we're very happy to have you on board, and we're very, very excited to see where things go moving forward.
Yeah, I've actually had an opportunity to be a part of this myself, and I totally recommend it to all of my posse for sure. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity to be a part of kind of a league, like kind of part league, part not league. You can kind of like do one race. You can do the whole season. You can pick away at it. Some of them's free. You can go bigger and do the buy-ins and get even bigger rewards. And the format being the reverse grid twice is pretty amazing. So even if you're pretty bad, there's opportunity to get some pretty sweet financial rewards.
Yes, indeed. Great intro and a great save also from my wonderful co-casters. You guys are already kicking in the clutch. Thank you so much for overcoming my technical difficulties. The final moments to mention are just the extra $1 for joining the webcam during AMX 0, the required webcam, which you can join via our Discord, which you can find at amxrace.com. And of course, we're going to pay you out $100. Our balance is over $100 every month. Our race days are Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, unless you're in Europe, and then it's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The end. Whew. All right. Great job, guys. I'm already loving the vibe, the camaraderie. It's here, and I'm here for it. I think we only have a couple more things to talk about before we get into the actual good stuff. Just to break down the schedule, if you're in the Americas region, where Drew and Brad are and where I used to be before I deserted. Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Wednesday nights in the afternoons on Saturday, Sunday, on the weekends, if you want to come out and race with us. And that's for the Americas region, north, south. We don't discriminate. Middle America also. Shout out to my Panamanians out there. It's going to be a good time weekends and on Wednesday. If you are in Europe, then you want to join us late nights on Thursday and in the evenings on the weekend. Saturday, Sunday start at 6:50, and AMX 10 race starts at 8:20. So that's a look at the times for the European region. And of course, if you're joining via amxrace.com, plug there, then you have a lot on the line. If you're joining us to race, first of all, there's pride and experience and a good time, but also we do have a prize pool that is split evenly between qualifiers, Heat 1 and Heat 2. It's going to be $7 for first place in each one of them, and the prizes go all the way down to 15th place with a $1 prize for fastest lap. So even if you're in the back of the pack, you can still head back to the pits, get yourself some new tires, head out for the fastest lap, see if you can get yourself an extra $1. And you can also get yourself an extra $1 if you turn on your camera and join during this AMX Zero race. You can join at any time during qualifying. So if you're listening, you have a sim rig or a mouse, I guess you could technically use that. Please don't do that. You can join anytime during our qualifiers and get your name up there. And $7 for each part, and with +2 for fastest laps, then you can actually win quite a bit of money. It's free to enter, so lose nothing. And of course, what you stand to win beyond just money, pride, glory, and everything above is an GT Light Pro. Of course, from our friends at Next Level Racing. They partnered with us this season for our AMX 0 and AMX 10 races to provide the champions of those leagues with some extra prizes, in this case, a GT Light Pro. So if you're looking to upgrade your setup and you want some extra equipment, then this is a great way to get that by competing and winning the AMX 0 championship. So big thanks to Next Level Racing for helping us level up the prize pool and give us some extra equipment out there to our racers. And I believe that it is time to talk about what and where we're racing. So to talk about the track a little bit, Drew, why don't you break down what we have coming up first in AMX 0 here today?
Yeah, well, this is Okayama, and it's a tight little track. This is the short version, and it's in Japan, if you didn't know. Opened 1990. Apparently, it's only 2 kilometers, which in America is about the size of the karting track. So you're going to see death. You're going to see destruction at pretty much every corner, I would say, in the first lap, and it may continue until the very end, to be honest.
I love it. Carnage is what we like here, Brad, right?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely love the carnage that goes through. Still waiting for Brad racing and commentating. I would bring carnage. Okayama is a very, very classic iRacing track, and honestly, it's one of those tracks that I love to see through. And we have a good car pairing for it, Reed. Going through, it's a very, very good car track pair yet again here in AMX. And Reed, you want to tell us about the car?
No, I actually would not. I'm going to give. I'm here to outsource. This is me practicing my management skills, Brad. Drew, would you like to tell us about the Toyota GR86?
Yeah, sure. I don't really honestly race it too much. I'm more of a GT3 guy myself. Super cool guys do GT3. Obviously, didn't know if you knew that, but so the GR86. Actually, this would be a car that I would drive, that I would be pursuing in real life, and may someday, to be honest. Rear wheel drive, tiny little engine. It's like a souped up MX-5. It's pretty sweet though, because it's kind of like a light GT4. It's not a TCR car, which is a front wheel drive. So you're able to really toss the car around, generate a lot of power from the rear. So, it's a great step to move into the GT4, GT3 direction. It helps you understand about weight transfer, momentum, things like that. And you get these like fat trains where, just like an MX-5, it's anybody's ball game until the very, very end.
That's a great summary. Brad, have you had a chance to check out the GR86 much?
Honestly, yes. So the fun thing for me with the GR86 is that it's a good step up from the MX-5, which we see a lot of the MX-5 here in AMX.
Oh, yeah.
Going through in AMX 0. But the GR86, it was a free car given by iRacing for D-licensed drivers to run. So it's a good, easy step up from the MX-5. Once you get used to the MX-5 or Miatas, depends on where you're at in the world. Once you're used to those and you step up, it's a very, very good stepping stone, because if you want to stick with that GT racing and take on Drew in GT3s, you have to step up. iRacing isn't one of those things that, drivers will go MX-5. Okay, I'm going to drive F1 cars now. You really have to work your way up the classes, up the licenses. And for me, the GR is a good step up. The GR86 by Toyota Gazoo Racing, beautiful, beautiful car made here in North America, and it is just a simple step up. I've said it like 6 times now, but it gives you that sort of challenge of the D class, and you do see this both in its own dedicated series in iRacing, but you also see it in mixed series. So you see a lot of the mixed class racing, GT3, GT4, and the GR86s. It's a very unique car, and honestly, I think it's a lot of fun, and I kind of prefer it to GT3 some days. Some days I really want to push, and I just want to drive, and that's where this car finds its niche for me in iRacing.
Well, when it comes to pushing and driving, I guess we're going to see a little bit of that here as we get into our qualifiers. You can see all of our cars coming out of the pits, and we do have quite a few, if I do say so myself. If I'm not mistaken, as I open the live timing link, which I believe should be accessible via our chat, if I'm not mistaken, we do have close to 30 racers today. We got a lot of names on the field, which is going to make this a pretty exciting race. Drew, what's the race that you've raced with the most racers?
The race that I've raced with the most racers, in terms of like special events.
Yeah, like any events. I mean, I guess it could be super casual or whatever. Or just most cars on the track that you've been in.
I think what is the 6 hour plus specials have, I don't know, like 80 plus, 100 plus. I mean, something like even the Road Atlanta, 24 hour, you saw, absolute chaos 24/7. So, I mean, for me, actually, I like the traffic. A lot of the higher end drivers, I think, excel in traffic. They're always prepared for traffic. They're going to use traffic to their advantage with the draft. So, actually, the more draft, the better, in my opinion, especially for, a P1 through 5 situation. Obviously the bottom top 10 guys are going to be looking for dive opportunities and taking advantage of the bottom back markers for their own nefarious purposes.
Nefarious purposes. Yeah, there are at times some nefarious purposes here. We've had some sternly worded conversations with our drivers about defensive driving, especially because we do like the reverse grid thing. That can turn things a little bit upside down. Cars included there. So, Brad, how about you? Have you ever raced in one of these like monster races with hundreds of cars everywhere?
So the last special event I ran in iRacing Reed was the 2.4 Le Mans special event, and there was, I think, 50 GTP cars because I opted to buy and run the GTP instead of running a lower class, which I should have done. And ended up in a lobby of about 55 GTP cars, and I was taken out about 3 minutes into my first lap of a 2.4 hour race. So, lesson learned there: run the car you're comfortable with. Don't buy a car a week before a special event and expect a good result. So about 50 cars is where
I've done that.
my limit lies.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your shortest survival time in a race, Drew?
Oh, I don't even want to say, dude. Oh, it's so bad. I mean,
no, it's rough, right?
Early on, I was thrown into opportunities that I shouldn't have been thrown in, like an ADAC professional race with James Baldwin in it, and let's just say it was Bathurst. It was the run up. It was literally the turn that you do not want to slide on. It was things got crazy. Let's just.
No, I mean, that's crazy, right? And for maybe some of this is a free race to enter, so anybody out there can join this race. We do have some really, really talented racers out here, but if you're new, you can just jump on in here, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But there's something to race for at the top and the bottom, right? We do reverse grids, so if you want to climb to that 15 spot, you're going to get flipped up into the top. That could be a goal to race for. You pay out to the top 15, so if you want to climb up even towards those lower spots, you can get in the money. So if you're coming into a brand new race, if you're new to iRacing, you're trying to get your rookie license and work your way through the up the iRating standings, then it can be a little bit rough when you find out that you can't just do hot laps, right? You have to race against other actual people, and some of them might not play super nice. So yeah, I think maybe it's just your experience, Drew, but you also sort of learn a little bit of defensive driving pretty quickly.
Well, I think honestly, I think that as I've learned, the better and better you get, the higher up you go, the faster drivers you race, and especially the ones who are behind you, it really pays to not freak out, to stay on the race line as much as possible. If someone wants to dive, then it's unfortunate, really, because they're going to take away so much time, and then you could lose the draft. And so the drivers have to decide where and when they can to make these passes.
Yeah.
And you really hope that the guy is going to work with you, because that's really your only chance if you want to make some big money.
Brad, are you a diver?
There's a famous
Yes,
line.
I totally
that
am.
says,
There's a yes coming. There's a yes coming already. Okay, what's the line, Brad?
if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a
God.
racing driver. However, I will say there needs to be some brains behind that deep inside dive that you go for. If you have it, you need to make it stick. I'm usually in the more respectful, give racing room and don't take yourself and take someone else out category. However, if it's last lap, I've been known to make a little bit of a dive up the inside. My first ever win in iRacing was modifieds running around Boston Speedway because ovals tend to be sort of where I make my home. And I did a turn 3 dive up the inside, little bit of a bump and run. But hey, last corner of a 50-lap race, I'm just saying I'm going for it. But
Okay.
typically my mantra is give respectful room and don't do a boneheaded move.
How's that for a mantra, Drew?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I mean, it depends, right? I'm thinking to myself, okay, Senna said that when he was in F1. He did drive cars like these cars. Actually, he has a history of driving these cars. I'm not sure. I was thinking to myself, did he say that when he was driving cars like this? I'm not so sure. I know there's, hey, if you're working through the pack, you've got to keep momentum. You can't stop. And so, yeah, in terms of that, yes. But I don't know, man. I've watched a lot of these top real life in IMSA, in SCCA or NASA, MX5 and GR86 in real life. And, it just really comes down to that last lap. If you're a smart driver, you're in the top 5, top 6, top 8, and you have an opportunity to get a P1 situation up until the very last corner. And I've seen it time and time again.
No, that's a great point. We've actually recently been having a bunch of bangers that go down to the wire. You get them at the line, and it's super exciting to watch. And the way you get to those situations is if you don't burn your whole race at the very beginning, going for lap 1, turn 1, trying to win the race right there. It's a long race. I mean, the heats are only 15 minutes here, but even still, asking for that much patience can be a little bit of a tall order here. As just to kind of check in on the actual qualifying here before we get back to our discussion. The times being set here are actually pretty comparable. Fastest lap, I believe, we're looking at 58s, and actually Elizeo is coming dangerously close to that. Kieran Harrison, one of our pro racers, getting way up there. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, we have no pro license. I actually thought Kieran had a pro license from his Hyundai win, but it's all A's with some C's and B's in there, but still very respectful. You look at Kieran Harrison, he's got 8K iRacing, so this guy's not bad. Fair to say? Yes, Reed, that's fair to say. Oh. Great job, guys.
Yes, absolutely. I was just looking over the list, actually. There's a number of guys that I actually race with almost on a daily basis here.
Oh, no way.
Harrison, yeah, for sure. Harrison is one of those guys that I do see from time to time. And at 8K level, I'm starting, if I were him, I'd be like, who the heck is this 4.6K guy? But bam, just as I say that, Harrison's slippity slap. Oh, and then Guinness throws it down in his face as well. 8.8K says, no, I am the top doggy here.
Yeah.
Today.
That's crazy. Brad, have you ever raced with any of our AMX Zero racers?
I tend to find myself not at a iRating level to qualify to race against them.
No. What you say, Brad, you say, they've never raced at my level.
That, Yeah, that's a good way to phrase that. That's an appropriate way to phrase the words I was about to say. Thanks for the save there, Reed. Thank you for the assist.
Anytime, Brad. No, I mean, obviously, you look at the iRatings out there, and these are maybe a little bit updated, but it doesn't tell the whole story, right? Because you're going to get that from whatever you race, wherever you race. It's not indicative of every car. Just because I can get out there in GR86 doesn't mean I can throw a Huracan on the track and zoom off into the distance. So you never know what you're going to get when you walk through that door, and for the most part, the racers who do the best in AMX Season 3 is the ones with the most versatility, right? Doesn't mean that you're your best on every single day, but you got a pretty good idea when you get into the car. Okay, what am I doing here? Front, rear wheel, what's the gear situation like? And you can make your way around the track. And I'm actually kind of curious, Drew, when you kind of got started racing, as we check out our driver spotlight from Lucas Sigmund. I talked to their team a little bit ago, and I was like, are you guys sim racers or professional models? And they say, well, we got to have a day job, right? So anyway, big shout out to him for joining us. He's had quite a few races and quite a little bit of success here. So looking forward to seeing what he can do here today. My question for Drew, if we can get back to that. I was distracted there for a moment.
Yes,
when you get out, when you're but a wee lad and you hop in the sim rig for your first time, you're learning a few different cars and tracks. What are the general sort of lessons that you learn that help you be a little bit more versatile instead of just like sticking to one car? When you branch out, what are some of the things that help you be more widely versed?
Oh yeah. I would say don't panic. That's my first.
Okay.
My first step in the process. Panicking can be a real problem, especially if you're trying to get on pace too quickly. So, relax. Honestly, though, I really do treat it like real life. Unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to race these kind of cars in real life yet. But I've done a lot of karting in California. And, it's just, the process of real life is a little different than sim racing. So I try to bring that into my process. Oh, another driver spotlight. Oh, here's Kieran Harrison, team Sim RC. What is it? Sim Race City? Or what does it stand for?
I think it's Sim Remote Control. I actually have no idea.
Oh, okay. 824, whoever it is, welcome in and then add Kieran Harrison. Yeah, so he's a pretty amazing driver. I mean, like we were kind of talking about, which is, when you get to this level and you're approaching learning tracks, you want to break down what the car is good at, strengths, weaknesses. These cars, when you're braking, you get a lot, as you can see right there, that you get a lot of that weight transfer, a lot of the body roll, and so you can really kind of push and pull the physics of the car in a corner as well. If you tweak the brakes. I think a great even place to see that is in some of the old Senna footage, where he, is really hitting the brakes really fast, or hitting the gas really fast, and he's kind of moving that weight around forward, back, side to side in the corners to really make the car either rotate or understeer depending on the situation. And obviously, when you're fast, being alone, time trialing or whatever, hot lapping, you don't have to worry so much about the inevitable situation like in this race, where you're going to have a lot slower drivers coming up on you really fast. You're going to have two wides, maybe three wides pushing on you from the rear. So you got to have some plan Bs, some plan Cs to be able to hold your own in unideal situations.
That's a good breakdown. Yeah, just do all of what Drew said, and you'll be good. No, I mean great advice, and obviously there's a lot that carries over between cars, and that's really what you got to do. There's no substitute for spending time in the seat, right? You just got to get out there, get a feel for it, and you can learn a lot by watching.
Well, I mean, honestly, not just time in seat. It's quality time in seat. To be honest with you,
Okay,
you can spend a lot of time practicing badly, or you can spend a little time practicing like a pro. And honestly, like if you're learning. If you're in this, 3K or below, or 4K or below, or honestly, even 5K below, that's me. And so coaching is awesome. I'll look for coaches, guys. Seriously.
Yeah. I do have a brief update as we near the end of qualifiers. SimRC's Sim Racing Community I probably should have figured that one out earlier. But as we close out qualifiers, Brad, have you noticed anything through qualifiers that we should have talked about while we were having our tea time?
Biggest thing that I've been keeping my eyes on, Reed, is just how close the times are. We talk a lot about, iRating and licenses and, everything, but the raw versatility of the drivers, as we see big saves from Rago there, Facundo Rago holding onto it very hard at the end of qualifying. But as the checkered flag is flown from Barney, the iRacing flagman there, it's how close those gaps are. I mean, when you sit down and you look at it, and hopefully we'll get a leaderboard up here in just a second. There we go. Look at this. Top 18 separated by 0.6 of a second.
What is that?
I mean, I'm just saying that's pretty impressive. So even though Kieran Harrison with a 59.0 throws in the fastest time, 2/100ths of a second, Gudnaz right behind, 9/100ths of a second, Elise is right behind. I mean, it's very, very close all the way through the field. And there's not a defined gap that I can tell you. There's not a driver that I'm going to say, you should really watch out for Harrison. I think Harrison's going to fight his way through. Everybody has very, very, very good pace all the way through this field, Reed. And I think at this point, it's going to be a matter of which driver has that little bit of luck to make it through the first lap unscathed.
Well, I tell you, I'll hop in here real quick, which is Facundo Rago, Fabio Zamperlini. Those guys are really fast in the race, and just because they're starting in the mid-pack there, or the top 10, do not count them out. They will be in the top 5, I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the way that we're going to line up the grid, starting from our top row, which is Petronev Oliveira. Flipped him up there from that 15th, 14th spot. Connor Healy, a guy that spends a lot of time around that cutoff point, is also going to be a big winner up to the second spot or second row of the grid with Pedro Mora. And you can read the rest of the grid as we roll through about 20, 25, 30 racers out here today. We really do have quite the run of field. 21. Okay, I was a little high there. But yeah, no, it's a great way to start the race out. It is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn things over to Drew and Brad to break down the race, and I'll see you guys a little bit during halftime. So take it away, guys.
Hey, Drew,
hello. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna. Okay.
Get out of here,
Brad.
Reed.
Okay, Brad is going to start, and then we're going to go from there. How about that, guys?
We're taking over from
We'll make it work. Yep. Here we go, guys. It's green flag racing already for AMX 0, and Drew, at this point, I think the big key is survive turn 1, and as we can see, Jackson Rasenjay, our current AMX 0 leader, not surviving turn 1 very well, falling back very, very far. His Texaco teammates are up in the front edge of the field, but it's going to be very, very competitive racing as the drivers kind of snake their way through this first lap here, go through Piper Corner. They're going down the back straight. The short stretch here, these 15 laps are going to go very, very quick. 3 wide as we dive in there with Valzidi, Rago, Liziu, all kind of making their mix there. The inverted grid, putting, of course, our pole setter back in the back. He's already working his way up. And Drew, these are the essential points for this race. I'm going to say that a lot, that there's critical points in this race, but I really think surviving this first lap, which has went very, very quickly, is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're just seeing the drivers here settle in, getting relaxed. Some of these names: Petrinev and Ora and Oliveira, followed by Kulhavi and Sidman. Zamperlini already moving up to P6, I think, from P8. Looks like Kieran Harrison dropping down the order for Facundo Rago, not having the start he was looking for. Ramos not really having we got a little bit of spin out there in the back, not that big of a deal. Yeah, so everybody's getting settled in here, getting the draft going. Top 5 cars, top 3 is looking pretty nice. Top 4, who's that? Kulhavi's looking to stay in there, 2 wide. Going through, what is that, after Redmond, Hobbs, I believe, as well. And yeah, I mean, what else can be said here? Everybody's settling in. Tires are heating up still. Track is rubbering in. I think people probably at this point are starting to question, whether they should be making some pushes or pulls. I mean, there's not that many laps here in this race. There's only like 15 total. So, tire wear is really not part of the problem here. And who are we, looking on the graphics here, who are we on board with here? Can you tell me?
Yeah, so we're riding on board with Pedro Mora here, and that is in your bottom right-hand corner. Binky replay there. Elise's spin there. It looks like you got a little bit of help from behind. I'm not sure who that was, but a little bit of help from behind there on Elise. That's going to knock him back the grid a bit. It's the three Tony Kanaan drivers that we find in the lead right now. Spetronev, Mora, and Oliveira leading their way through with Gaston Kohlhavi there in P4. So I'm curious, Drew, if you're running in this race and you've got your teammates 1, 2, 3, even though it is a short race like we've talked about, but the grid inverts at the end of this, and we pay for every P1. You think the teammates are going to play it nice here as we go through, starting on lap 3, or you think we're going to see a little bit of push around, go through the teammates as we see a dive up the inside from Kohlhavi?
You know, I don't know. I always question whether the teammate thing is even a factor. I know a lot of guys pretty closely through my stream, which I'll just give myself a little plug here, twitch.tv/Dr. Swank, that's DRSWANK, where I live stream almost daily, Sunday through Thursday. So join us over there. But it's a shameless plug, as they say. What was it? Oh man, shoot. Yeah, I've lost my train of thought. What was the question?
Teammate game. Do you expect to see a teammate game
that's right.
here?
Yes, that's right. So, yes. So, I've raced with a lot of guys pretty closely, and, when you're this competitive and when there's money on the line, I think that there is a gentleman's agreement to a certain point with, as you get closer to that checkered flag, there's going to be a little extra spice in the mix. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's going to, fault anybody for going harder, especially when, especially if the teammate behind you's got the pace. If he's got that run, and you're blocking him. I mean, then you start to get into some questionable ethical areas, in your real life. So, if you want to maintain that friendship, it gets complicated. To be honest with you, Brad.
Yeah, sim racing friendships stay very complicated, especially when you throw everybody together on a track and then say, hey, first place gets money, and overall leader of the league at the end gets a next level racing seat. So you start mixing things up. I'll tell you one thing that's not mixing up is our grid at the moment. It seems like all these drivers are just having a hard time finding a way to pass. We're watching dual screens here, battle for 8th in the bottom right-hand quarter, battle up front on the screen. We're getting ready to go 2x2 into turn 1 here, and it looks like that's the inside that Mora is going to defend there. Oliveira outside. Drew, can Kohlhavi hold it around the inside? This is going to be very, very close, and it looks like Kohlhavi never mind. Oliveira gets very loose, and there's a big spin through. Ooh, that was a
strange choice there.
That was a moment there.
Yeah, that looked like a brake check, perhaps not intentional per se, but from the guy who was on the outside of the 2 wide. He was letting Amora through, or Mojave, and so it looked like the guy behind was not expecting that, and so unfortunately, he should have thought. Really, when you see stuff like that, it's like the driver should have probably thought about that before going into a corner that's known for killing people. And, it's like, if giving that position, or like giving, the driver on the inside maybe a half car length, breaking up a little half car length, then do a little bit, allow him to do the slide job on you. That way the driver behind, you can slot in. That makes sense.
It does, yeah. Replay in the bottom right, and it is very similar to what you said. Somebody on the brakes there, and then Sigmund just spins through. We can see here Gunez, Gaspar battling very, very competitively. Gaspar dropping down. E6, Harrison's going to try to slot up the inside there in that beautiful, beautiful green GR86 there, and it looks like he's not able to go through Harrison, and that was a big loose moment there from Healy in the background. Even though we keep our eyes forward here, Gaspar, again, great defense there against Harrison. Still defending it through, checking back in on our leaders as that battle rages on in the back. And Pedro Mora, 0.6 of a second, the gap to Spetronev. But really, Drew, I don't think 0.6, half a second is that far of a gap there, as Kohlhavi is getting himself in the mix there for the lead. 0.2 of a second. Slipstream in these GR86s, we are going to see it play a bit here. And do you think Kohlhavi can make another turn 1 dive?
100%. He seems to have the base, although he's going in a little bit he's been pushing, I think, for a couple laps now, so you're going to see his tires overheating. You might already be seeing a little bit of that right now, actually, as Oliveira is now realizing maybe what his opportunities are. He's been slowing up a little bit. So, here with that situation, Oliveira's got much cooler tires. He's probably, chilling back a little bit. He's waiting right now, and Kulhavi is, I would say under a little bit of pressure. He's trying to get up on that next car ASAP, because if he doesn't make that move or start making that move, then he already knows Oliveira is going to retake, and he just cannot have that. So he's already looking up on the inside now. So I mean, you're going to be seeing here probably through Redmond, that S's. He's probably going to make his move now. He's probably going to fake inside, do a little punt. You more as refraining from making that defensive move, trying to stay up on the rubbered line. And here, we'll probably make a little bit of a jink here, maybe. It depends on how aggressive he is. But, the tire temperature is going to be a little high. But it seems like, Svetriniv is looking so relaxed. He doesn't seem to be affected by Mora right now. But, it does look like they're kind of clumping together. And then P5 is looking like he's getting into the mix as well. And then followed by the top 10 train as well. So, yeah, Brad, it's looking like Svetriniv is anything but sealing this deal for P1. But, it depends on the corner. And it depends on how Mora and Kulhavi are playing together nicely. I think, honestly, if I was Kulhavi, I would probably, given the opportunity, might just really relax for the next, what you got, 6 laps left, 5 laps essentially. These cars aren't giving you this track is tiny. He's looking up the inside right now. He knows there's not much there, and he's trying to rotate off of that curve, getting that differential involved with the rotation, but that's only going to heat up those outside lefts even more, and you're gonna have less of a capability to attack when it's important. So, but you see in the back there, Brad. I don't know if you want to call that.
Yeah, it looks like something happened there. We were watching the battle for 6 in the bottom right, and it looks like Harrison spinning out and dropping back. I kind of missed exactly what caused him to spin, so that'll be something I'll want to see a replay on, if possible, because that was a very different sort of look there as we watch still. Pedro Mora, again, great defense here against Kulhavi, and you can see, there's a bump in the rear bumper, and that's going to bring Mora and Kulhavi around.
Oh,
you
no.
can see that takes both of them out. They spin back into the racing line. Oh, very lucky to not take out more of the field. That's been such a good battle all the way through.
Unfortunate.
But now that's going to mix things up. Very unfortunate. And Drew, kind of, what was that?
I would say impatience. That turn is, at the best of times, not really designed for a too wide situation, really. So, getting up on the inside when you're maxed out, especially in these kind of cars where once you're fully loaded, once you're in the corner, like, you're not able to maneuver whatsoever. So, the vortex of danger is real on that corner, and it happens pretty much anytime anybody tries to pass. Oh, there's a Harrison crash in the background there, just looping it. It's hard to tell from that perspective whether somebody tapped him or not. But yeah, so Svetriniv looks like he's definitely pulling away at this point because of that impatience that those two drivers had. I'm forgetting the name, but Oliveira is now firmly P3, and Guinness is definitely firmly P2. I think these positions are probably pretty well firm, but we've got a battle for what looks like, it's hard to tell. I'm not seeing the highlight of the driver names from this perspective. Can you help me with that, Brad?
Yeah, so if you're ever wondering what driver we're watching, and this is a tip for all of you at home as well, you can look to the left there on the leaderboard. You see the little red mark beside the number? That's typically going to be the driver that we're following. Right now we're watching Oliveira here, who is going through, chasing down P3. That gap in the lead is already starting to close down a bit, Drew, and this is going to be where I think things get interesting, because the thing all of these drivers have to remember is we're pushing real hard, we're being real competitive early on, right? And we're going through, it's the end of heat 1, few laps left to go. We've got to send it through. We need to, earn our money, get on the leaderboard, all that fun stuff. We still have another heat after this. We've got 15 more laps. We invert the top 15 yet again. It's another 15 laps. And again, that's the unique thing with AMX, is that you kind of get this sort of like, hey, the first heat may not have went your way. You may have only finished P11, P12, and you were leading for most of it. But hey, you're going to see things go through and hit through. And we're going to get a big cute replay coming up here. This is going to be that incident there with turn 1. That is going to be Mojave and Pedro Mora. And you can see there it's just a bit of the front bumper to the back bumper. And then the cars just get hooked together, get sent back into the racing line. Drew, kind of give me your breakdown on that incident there as we're hitting the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, I mean, I would have not chosen that corner to make the pass. There's far better corners. In fact, the corner you chose on the previous pass was the far better corner to choose. The 2 wide there, I think it was Redman. Yeah, it's just it just looks like impatience. Had he waited a little bit, obviously he's probably thinking to himself, okay, I got to take an opportunity to get back up into a P1 situation, but you gotta take it when but also you gotta balance your perspective, man. I mean, he was in a P3 situation and he just gave it up, trying to go for a little bit more, and now sadly, but he'll probably be in a if he's in that top 15 at the very end, he'll be at the P1 at the start. So, but yeah, so that's how. And then there's a Heat 1, and then there's a Heat 2, and then is there a final after that as well? And then a few of my chatters, in addition. We're asking about strength of field, and based on kind of what I saw, I would say that the current strength of field is probably around 4 to 5K.
Yeah, strength of field is varying. Looks like our lowest I rating is around 1900. Highest I rating is, of course, just under 9,000 there. As we go on to lap 14, Gunez has gotten his way up into the lead here. Spetronev settled in P2, and I think Oliveira is probably going to look for a pass here very soon. As we've started our final lap now, Drew, this is going to be that make or break point. But again, it's another 15-minute heat after this, and then that's the end of AMX 0 for today. So it really is, at this point, I still think we're going to see a little bit of conservation here from the Tony Kanaan boys in P2 and P3, and we're watching that battle for P6. Of course, our AMX 0 leader, Jackson Rasinje, currently in 7th place, trying to find a couple more points to secure his lead. If you are checking the leaderboard out on amxrace.com, it is not up to date at the moment. It is missing last race's results. But from what I saw on the leaderboard, kind of prepping for the race today, Jackson Rasinje with a very, very big lead here in AMX 0, trying to earn those awards. But as quick as I can get through those couple comments, we come around the final corner here, and Corentin Gunez will bring it across the line there. The flashes of the headlights for happiness, and that is how Heat 1 ends up. It's Gunez, Spetronev, Oliveira, Gaspar, Belzidi, and Rago. You can read the rest of the list as they come through. It looks like, for the most part, after we get outside of the top 8, things opened up quite a bit, but I still think Ramos and Godoy might be trying to have a pass here near the end. Nico Godoy, I wonder if he is wearing any hats or anything today for us to watch. Be pretty cool to see there. It's P16, he's just outside of the invert, though, which is unfortunate for him.
Godoy is a pretty amazing driver, I must say. I've used his setups on, I believe it's Major's Garage, or incredible setup maker, I believe. Or is that Federico? Is that the same person? Now I'm not so sure, actually. Yes, there's your top Heat 1 results, Quarantine. Somehow, honestly, I missed the overtake there, but he secured the P1, followed by Spetronev and Oliveira and Gaspar, followed by Belzidi and Facundo Rago, my friend, and Resendi and Kulhavi, Sigmund, and rounding off the top 10. Oh, Kieran Harrison. This is going to be interesting because you're going to see a very mixed up top 15 situation in this next race, followed by people who are very fast outside of the top 15. So you're basically like pausing that last race and starting a new endurance race where the back markers are mixed in.
Yeah, and that's where, again, that's the uniqueness of AMX Global here, is seeing things go through as all the drivers get set up here, and it's a standing start straight into Heat 2. And, Drew, I can't say it better myself. You kind of just freeze Heat 1 and then invert the top 15 and send it through. And this is going to be where I think we see some big battles here as we go into turn 1. Look at that, Diego Villarreal against Elisiu, outside to inside. Elisiu trying to hold on there, 3 wide in the background behind as well. Jackson Rasinje splitting 3 wide there into the right-hander. Jackson Rasinje is spun, and there we go. There's some carnage for you into turn 2 and out of first corner. And that takes out several drivers. There's more wrecking. That's more of our Tony Kanaan boys who have spun out. Front of the grid, everyone's still going for the most part there, but the Tony Kanaan guys having a terrible start to Heat 2, dropping back very hard. Now we're going to see everyone go through Oliveira. They are into P13 at the moment, trying to hold on, but back half of the grid is just gone now. I mean, that's a pretty significant amount of the grid that was spun there, Drew, early on. I don't know if you saw what started that or saw anything
I've been
else
in
to
one
add
of those.
on.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those. I mean, yeah, basically, when you've got the slower drivers mixed in with the faster drivers trying to take their corners the way they want to, it gets a little tricky. But the faster drivers are going to hold back and know that they aren't going to get the opportunities that they were looking for when they're in those situations, and letting the race come to them over the time. And you actually see a little bit of that with Godoy. He's now top 10, and Ora is P9. And it's like rounding out a top 5, and we're on board with Harrison in P3. Zamperlini leading the pack in P1. Hot on his tail is Alizu. Apologize. And P5 and P4, Ramos and Kulhavi.
Look at the bottom right of your screen there as we watch Harrison on screen. That is that lap 1 crash, and you can see just multiple drivers taken out there in the mix. I mean, it's enough drivers that it's hard for me to name. I can try to go through and name them if people really want, but I'm just going to let the screen do the talking, because you see a car go sideways, a car into another car, everybody just kind of spins, and it just chains from there. That you're looking at, that's the number 5 of Aragos. Comes back on the racing line, takes out another driver, takes out the number 23 of Oliveira. Oliveira's through, hits a teammate, comes around, there's another hit there, and that is, again, it's just, do that spin early on, you go onto the racing line, and then it can just be a very, very unfortunate event there. Drew, as we watch Zamperlini and Elysiu battling, fabulous Fabio Zamperlini in the lead. That's something that I feel like we need to say more of here, as Fabulous Fabio is going to try to put on a defensive masterclass.
Yeah, Fabio is a strong driver. He's a very aggressive driver. He defends pretty tough, but you're going to see an opportunity whether he defends right now. He's not going. Is he going to defend? Is there a dive? There has to be a dive. Oh no, both drivers are chilling right now. I am actually shocked because there was an opportunity there, but then something happened there, it looked like, because then there was a huge gap building all of a sudden with Elysiu. I'm not really sure. Oh, and then up inside now. What is happening? And then it looks like Harrison's getting up in the mix now. I don't know what really happened now. All 4 drivers going ham on each other up here, and so let's see. We're on board now with Zamperlini. He's too wide. Going into a very tough corner to be on the outside. I would let him go, let the guy go on the inside, and get the run out. Yeah, that's what you want to do right there. You should focus on the draft. He's not letting him take that outside, though. He's going to pay ultimately, Zamperlini pays the price there, because then the run out of your draft partner is slowing down onto the straight. So now behind Zamperlini, unfortunately, he's got Kulhavi right on his 6, because he's could have been just maybe a little bit more patient in that situation, to be honest with you.
Zamperlini, it looked like lost a little bit of traction from what I could see, and it seems like maybe just pushing very hard early on. And again, Drew, you talked about earlier those tires heating up as things go, and that kind of gets you to this point. And now you see Zamperlini, as you said, paying the ultimate price, falling out of P1 down into P4 here. And at this point, it really is watch Kulhavi behind and watch the drivers ahead. Zamperlini needs to kind of cool, calm, collect things here. Harrison in a very, very good P2 position here, but we watched Harrison rumble under pressure late in Heat 1 and spin. So it's just a matter at this point, is Harrison going to be able to hold on and fight against Elysiu? Elysiu, we know, has a lot of pace. This is going to be the point where you need to breathe a little bit, Drew. Like, you're middle of the race, breathe a little bit, calm down a little bit, recollect things, and then go for the back half of the race.
Well, Harrison is a super fast driver. There's no doubt that he will be catching him. You can already see actually the difference between the lines. Harrison was, even just on that one corner, was much tighter to the apex. Even there, you see it again. So you're actually seeing Harrison gaining tenths after tenths, and straight lining in this section way better. You see it just a little bit toward the left in the central part of that. I guess you call it a chicane, or I don't know, it's a switcheroo. But so Harrison's already up. I mean, he's still on the draft. But the question I think is whether Ramos can hang with Harrison as the gap is really building from Ramos to Harrison, because once Ramos drops out of that draft, then Kulhavi is going to be right up on the 6, and Ramos, so Harrison, I would say based on what I'm seeing, Harrison is with the remaining of 9 laps. If I was Elizu, or I cannot say this name, I would be like, okay, my only chance at this point is to defend for my life, or just come to terms with my future destiny, which is possibly P3. Given that's really what you're looking at, really, because Ramos is going to be next up on your 6 right after this pass, followed by Kulhavi if you don't play your cards right. So yes, So if Elizu wants to be on the podium, if I were him, I would probably try, like just as he's doing, kind of park it a little bit in the apex, get Ramos involved, try to get Ramos to be applying some of the pressure onto Harrison, relieve the pressure onto you, and then hopefully you can, cool those tires back down a little bit.
Yeah, watching this battle up front, but also that battle in the bottom right as we see Fabio Zamperlini spinning again. Traction has not been his friend in this GR86. Fabio dropped down to 7th, and now he's just going to drop back even farther. Fabio not having a good heat too, but you brought up a good point there.
Up on the inside, Harrison.
Defend through inside Harrison. There we go. As I was going to say, you bring up a good point. How hard can you defend this? Elizu putting all of his racecraft in there, defends it up the outside switch back to the inside here in the switcheroo, as you call it. And as we go through, still side by side, Harrison and Elizu. Ramos now
Ramos
in the mix. Look at that.
up on
Ramos getting squirrely. Ooh, can hold on to this.
I mean, if I were Ramos, I'm thinking to myself, how do I keep these guys fighting for as long as possible? Because their tires are just overheating the more and more they fight. It looks like Elizu now, he got that position. That's smart. So he's now able to at least get back on the track.
Elizu slots back into P2 here behind Harrison. Harrison put a very, very strong battle, but now watch as the front 4 are going to continue to battle through. Gaston Kulhavi can smell the blood in the water. He's going to start slowly reeling in as these front 3 keep battling. All Kulhavi has to do is just keep up consistent laps, and as we hit lap 9 of 15 here, that is going to set up Kulhavi for possibly a mix as well. Bottom right corner of your screen there, a Zamperlini spin. It looked like a little bit of netcode maybe catching him off guard there. Zamperlini unfortunately losing out big time there. He's now down into P18, and that at this point, unless something drastic happens, could be Zamperlini's heat over, and the battle for the top 3 is anything but over here, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's see here. We got about 5 laps left. Elizu is not going to be really competing for the first position. If I were in his mind, he's thinking, how do I hang on to every bit of this draft to save me from Ramos, who will be diving on me within the next couple of turns. Now the question is do I defend him? How hard do I defend him? And I would, if I were to make a speculation, I would say Elizu is going to be top 53 if he's smart, if he plays his cards right here. If he defends too hard, he get himself in a situation where Ramos is going to start to get a little impatient, because he's got to stay up with Harrison as well if he wants a chance at least making Harrison, feel any sort of pressure at this point.
Absolutely. As these front 3 battle, we're also watching the battle for P7 in the bottom right. That is going to be Sigmund there in P7 that we're watching defend there against Nico Godoy in P8. Very, very good battle that we're seeing there from those drivers. Nico Godoy he always has my favorite liveries every time, but you can see just the defensive masterclass that Nico Godoy is putting forward there, doing very, very good to try to move around. Again, back on the main straight here, these laps go so fast. Harrison, Elizu, Ramos draft through, and Ramos losing a little bit of a gap there to Elizu as we run through into first corner. but Harrison doing well to stay very consistent. Those lap times very, very close together as we watch the lap times for the top 3 come in the top 4. And there we go. Again, the battle for P7. Watch that bottom right corner. There's plenty of action all across the track, so much that we can't keep up with all of it all the time. But that battle there, that number 9 of Nico Godoy coming around, and it looks like he is just, I mean, I don't know how wide GR86 is, but it's starting to look a bit wider than I expected. If Nico Godoy is any indication here, as we see a dive up the inside now. No, Julio is not able to make it happen, but Nico Godoy putting on a defensive masterclass. And I think Elysiu, if he's watching the stream at the same time, might just be taking a couple notes as we go down the main stretch here. Starting lap 12 of 15, Drew. Things are moving fast here. We're about to end AMX 0 today.
Harrison is relaxing. Doesn't look like he's pushing it all right now. So I would say everybody's very relaxed and comfortable with their positions. Ramos actually dropping back, which is a little shocking. In the bottom right, you see Nico Godoy is sort of defending a little bit. There's a little bit of a loose, the drafting's pretty loose at this point. So, really the most exciting part is whether or not P2 can apply some pressure here into Harrison. It looks like Harrison is maybe starting to feel that pressure actually a little bit. I'm shocked to see. I was not just a little bit. Looks like we're seeing an actual pretty solid run here from. By the way, how am I saying his name? Eliazu or Elizu?
Elysiu.
Elysiu. Okay, like Elysium. Okay, awesome. Yep. Okay, Elysium. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Elysiu. My apologies for saying it, but now I've said your name so many times, and now you're very excited. Yes, so he's moving up through the switcheroo, and with the 2 laps left, his best chance is to do some mind punts, which would be, maybe just try to kind of toss it in there, make Harrison think you're gonna go for a dive, just get him off the line a little bit. I mean, that's really your best opportunity in this situation, is to make the driver think you're gonna dive, but then you're actually staying on the racing line while that driver is going for the defensive move. But so far we're just kind of seeing a calmness going into the second to last lap. Brad. I'm not really sure what else to say about this. Yeah. Is this the penultimate? Is this the last lap? Okay.
Lap 14 of 15 here at this point, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we're really opening up a 4-way battle here for the lead as Harrison is trying to settle in. We're riding on board here with Elysiu, who is just trying to settle down. I think he's saved a little bit of pace here through the past few laps, and I think at this point, he's really going to start applying that pressure. You can see he's got a bit better corner entry, but it doesn't seem like he's got that corner exit. But I can tell we're already almost through with this lap 14 of 15 as we come around here. It's going to be Mike Knight corner into last corner down onto the main straight. And if Elysiu is going to make a run here, this is going to be the point where he needs to do it. But a little bit of a connection moment there. But it looks like Elysiu's still up in P2, Ramos P3, Kulhavi P4, and I don't think our leaders are all but settled here as we go into the final lap here. Again, keeping our eye on that battle for P8 back there with Nico Godoy heading the way there through first corner here. Final time, and Harrison trying to defend through, but at this point for Elysiu, it's all or nothing. This is the final lap here in AMX 0, race 14, so you really have to hold on here. Everybody buckle up for this final about half a mile of a go-kart track. As we called it earlier.
Yeah.
Going through again.
Yeah. Elysiu is looking like he's is really, really pushing hard here. Oh, he's riding up the inside. I'm going to say there's not a lot of opportunity left. I mean, it's really just hanging on. I would say this is a no dive situation, but he was pushing for it. As you saw, he almost lost it. I would say that was a code brown. That's what we like to call in the industry a code brown situation, Brad.
Code Brown for Elysiu brings in victory in Heat 2 for Harrison. Very, very good run. But look at this battle for P8. This has been what I've been keeping my eyes on too as we watch that battle for the lead. Because look at this, Galoy, Healy, Okano. This is where the battle is. My fellow countrymen representing as we run through Galoy P9, Healy P10, and Okano brings it around maybe for P11 if he can hold on to it across the line. And there it is. Galoy, Healy, Okano, Spetronev, Oliveira, Villarreal, Gunez rounding out the top 15. And Drew, I think that is what we call some competitive Troiano there had a moment at the end. Jackson Rasinje is trying to see how well a GR86 can drift. Drew, do you have experience with that?
Actually pretty good. That is actually pretty good. Yeah, I've got some experience with drifting, absolutely. And that enough to know that it's super hard and that I'm super bad at it. If that's what you mean. But yeah, I do have a little bit. I'm actually learning how to do it right now. It's very difficult, and especially very difficult to do what he just did. Maybe, perhaps. Anyways, I'm giving him too much credit, but this is the AMX Global Season 3, if you guys don't know what this is. This is a once a week provided by AMX Global top rewards, one free race, which is this race. This is the free race that you can enter every week, no matter your I rating. I believe there's probably some sort of cap. Brad, do you know what the cap is? What's that situation? If new drivers want to get into this, what is the situation to get into it, or is it capped out?
AMX 0, no minimum, no cap. If you are in AMX 10, it is a minimum of 2,000. Kieran Harrison, a driver with 8,000 I rating, brings it in to win. Elysiu brings it in through P2. Ramos, P3. Kohalby, P4. And you can read the rest of the leaderboard down because that was as our chat is saying, what a race, what a battle. Very, very competitive all the way through. And Drew, that is... that's a taste into race 14 of AMX 0, and I think next we're going to have AMX 10 coming through. Going into your home turf, Magnacor's Porsche 911, which from what I understand, the 911 GT3 is very, very much something you're familiar with.
Oh yeah, it's the Porsche in general is one of my favorite cars in the game. I'd say, like in terms of Cup versus GT3R, the P Cup is one of the most popular esport cars and probably in iRacing in terms of PESC and things like that. But the GT3R is amazing too. But Magnicor in general, this is a very, very tricky, very technical track that is going to. Again, it's going to offer some very difficult situations for the drivers, especially for locking up into diveable corners. And yeah, again, it's, especially that last corner. If you're not familiar with the last corner at Magnicor, you pretty much have to plant a piece of TNT underneath your tire, your right tire, and then just blow it up as you're going over it.
I don't know if we're going to technically advise that, so maybe we need to revise that. Either way, we'll have a lot more to talk about. Okay, we'll have a lot more to talk about that race coming up in our AMX 10 race tonight. And of course, if you want to find more information about AMX Global League Season 3, you can do that on amxrace.com. A big thanks to Drew and Brad for covering our first race. Of course, we'll all be back here for that AMX 10 race coming up here in just a little bit. In the meantime, while we take a quick break, we want to make sure to tell you guys to check out all the social media out there. We've got it all linked right down below the stream. It's AMX Global on Instagram, or AMX Global on Instagram, and then also on Twitter. We'd love to hear what you guys had to say, and if you'd like to share your voice with us in our Discord channel, you can find that right down below the stream also on amxrace.com, where you can sign up to join racers like these for any more of the, I think we have over 40 races left this season. So there's a lot more going on, and we'd love to have you join us for it. And while we take a break, you guys can get ready to do that. amxrace.com is the place. And I guess here's the place where we want you to stay while we take a quick break before we come back in a little bit with the AMX 10. So you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to AMX Global League Season 3. It is a bright and sunny day above Magny-Cours, setting up for our AMX 10 race, or last race of the night. We will be heading out on to Magny-Cours with 911 GT3 Cup cars. The Porsche is very popular, incredibly popular in esports series, and we will be checking that out for our final race this evening. It is going to be the standard fare for us, but of course not a standard way to start things out, as I want to welcome our AMX 10 viewers to our first and most incredible TriCast ever, because it's the only one. So if you're watching AMX 10, you're here to watch some of our pro racers, or just here because you love AMX, that's the correct answer. Then let me go ahead and introduce everybody. We have, of course, Brad. Brad's been here for a while, and we're happy to have him. But, of course, joining us tonight is Drew. Drew Swank, up-and-coming Twitch streamer, racer extraordinaire across every discipline in the world. Drew, how's it going?
Good. Hello. Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Drew Swank. I stream almost every day, Sunday through Thursday, at twitch.tv/Dr. Swank. That's spelled DRSWANK. If you want to swing by there. And we do track days on Sunday as well if you want to join us there. Thank you guys for coming in, and thank you for having me.
Also, Drew has a life and a personality, and we'll talk about those later. That wasn't part of the intro there. But, Brad, also, what is it that you do, Brad? You do casting, you do streaming, you do like racing. Is there anything you don't do, Brad?
No, let's just say I do everything. If you have something you need, I'll just do it. We'll make it work.
The correct answer there, Brad, is drive badly. Ooh, got him. No. Great job, guys. We're happy to have you here, and we're happy to get started into our AMX 10 race. If you don't know what AMX 10 is, or what AMX Global League Season 3 is, let me tell you a little about what we got going on today. This is the AMX Global League Season 3. We've done a few seasons before this, but this season, things are bigger and better than ever. There is $25,000 on the line, and we're running this league for about 3 months, from September 20th to December 10th, which means we're coming up on the halfway point here. There's still about 40-50 races left here, so plenty of time for you guys to get involved. You can do that at amxrace.com, where you can join races like AMX 10. This is our pinnacle of competition here, and this is what the format looks like. We've got 15-minute qualifiers, 15-minute Heat 1, and then 15-minute Heat 2, with, crucially, 2 top 15 reverse grids in between those. And that's really the big deal, because you've got to put up your best performance every single time, and it just keeps getting harder because you keep getting flipped down. But also, if you're having a rough race, you're going to have your time in the limelight. You're going to get reverse gridded up to the top too. So a lot of fun, a really unique, interesting, fun style here, and it adds a lot of different layers to our AMX 10 competition here tonight. A little bit of extra, if you are racing in AMX 10, this is our premier tournament, so we do require that you join via video. You can find the video link on our AMX Discord server in the driver chat and in the announcement channel, and all the good stuff is over there. And of course, when you do win money, it's a when, not if, we do pay out balances over $100 every single month, so you can get your money paid out that way. Of course, you have to fill out the form on our website and all that good stuff. Take care of that there. Last but not least, sign up to race at amxrace.com and come out and join us Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. We would love to have you. If you are in the Americas region, you can come out and hit us up on Wednesday evenings. And of course, in the middle of the day, afternoon on Saturday and Sunday, starting at 12:50. And of course, this AMX 10 series starts at about 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is where we are right now. For future reference, now is that time. So on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday is when you can come out and race with us. If you are in Europe, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday is when we're racing in the late night on Thursday. Those are those real gamer hours, 1:50 a.m. and 3:20. And then on the weekends, we're starting at 6:50 p.m. and then 8:20 p.m. for AMX 10. Now, you look at the AMX 10 prize pool, and this is really one of the big reasons why this is the pinnacle of competition in AMX Global League Season 3. There's a 601 total prize pool here, and we're splitting it up between qualifier, Heat 1, and Heat 2. That's right, we're paying you out for qualifiers too. So every single section of this race, you're going to win money for if you place in the top 15. That's a pretty generous split, and no matter where you place in here, you always have the option of getting the fastest lap. You get $5 for that. You run out there on the track, you're hitting the fastest lap, we're going to give you $5 for that. So the total amount of money you can get from this race is actually a little bit crazy. And we've had some drivers get dangerously close to that perfect score. The first in all three, which means 2 reverse grid overcomes and fastest laps in both. That's crazy. And if you guys think you're good enough, AMXrace.com is the place to join up and get your name on our leaderboards. The winners are not just fighting for fame, glory, money, and everything else involved. No. Thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing, you are also battling for the AMX 10 Championship of an FG Elite. It's a $12.99 value, so big thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing for partnering with AMX for Global League Season 3 and giving the AMX 10 champion a shot at an FG Elite. Of course, they have a lot of sim racing cockpits to choose from, so make sure to go check out Next Level Racing. We are going to check out some Next Level Racing here in just a little bit, but if you want to get in on this racing, you can do so for a limited time only for free. Normally, AMX races, which have a $600 prize pool, are $10 to enter, and so it's usually a pretty good deal. But it's an even better deal because for the limited time only this month, if you are one of the first 10 entrants on AMXrace.com, you can join for free. So AMXrace.com, join up. We add new races all the time, so you want to keep your eyes glued to AMXrace.com for your chance to join free into any of our $600 prize pool AMX 10 races. All right, I think that does it, which means that we are going to start talking about what and where we are racing today. Drew, you had some hot takes about what it takes to race on our circuit. So why don't you break down where we're racing for us here today?
Yeah, Magny-Cours. It's very interesting actually. A lot of the French circuits have kind of some similar properties, and Magny-Cours is it's a medium-sized track, not too large, not too small. Certainly designed for faster cars. Multi-class is good here as well, but with the P-Cup cars, you're going to see a lot of drivers struggling with the sweeping faster corners. There's a few corners on the inside that where drivers are going to be diving in for sure, getting up on the inside. A lot of late braking opportunities as well. The P-Cup car, if you don't know, Porsche Cup car it does not have ABS, it does not have any traction control, and so the drivers are holding their own with the mechanics of the car 100% themselves, and oftentimes it leads to total annihilation of the better drivers from the worser drivers from behind. This is why I don't do it as much, at least in the ranks, is because as you may have learned, if you're just getting into iRacing, the P-Cup rank series is one of the notorious for just destroying your iRating if you've ever had any sort of goals in that department.
It definitely is a little bit challenging, but this is AMX 10, and so as the pinnacle of competition here in AMX Global League Season 3, we tend to have some incredibly skilled drivers out here on the grid. Brad, do you have anything extra to add about driving Porsche Cup cars? Do you have a lot of experience here?
I do not have a lot of experience with the Porsche Cup cars, so you will catch me defaulting to Drew for that a bit. I do have a lot of experience with iRacing, of course. I have a lot of experience with seeing some of these amazing world-class drivers run these cars in very, very fun ways. But as far as that goes, I mean, I've put some laps in the 992, but it was just feeler laps. It wasn't laps that I really, I want to brag about, but they were good laps. I stayed in track limits.
Okay, I mean that's more than some of our pro drivers can do. So you're already ahead of the game, Brad. And if anybody watching wants to get a little bit ahead of the game too, it's a great way to do it by checking out pro drivers. And one of the great, if you watch a driver stream, then you're going to get that first person view. But a lot of times it can help to get a few different views of the track. You can get a chance to see like whole apexes, like what are the racing lines looking like, and It's a great track to check it out on because, as Drew mentioned earlier, there are some pretty challenging corners for our racers to take out there. And if I'm checking out the live timing here, we do have about 17, 18 racers here. So it's going to be a decently full grid out there with, I think, 3 black bars, some pro licenses out there. It's going to be a lot of fun to see exactly how our, the best of the best get out there and get it done. Is there anything specifically that we should look out for during our time on Magny-Cours today, Drew?
Well, let me think about this. Well, you're going to have the top driver. I mean, probably in the first race, you're going to see more orderliness. I'm sure in the second race, you're going to have more chaos. But with Magny-Cours, it tends to ask a lot of the tires. So you're gonna see a lot of the tire degradation probably take over a lot more so than the last race. That's for sure. Especially because the tires that these cars are using tend to just wear out a little bit quicker, and that might be because of the downforce nature of the cars or just the physics or what have you. But I can guarantee you by the end of 15 laps, there will be people struggling with tire degradation for sure.
That's going to be a lot to look at as we get started here for qualifying in AMX 10 race 14, our time out here in Porsche Cup cars on Magny-Cours. Now, we do have a lot of really amazing drivers. Some of them raced earlier. You got a chance to get to know these guys a little bit in AMX 0. Now they're here at AMX 10, and there's a lot more on the line. I mean, you can see guys like Jackson Resenje still having a good time, some big smiles in there, and this is practice, right? Or is it qualifiers? We finished practice, we're into qualifiers, but the first 5 or so minutes of practice qualifiers can be a little bit like practice. You're all getting out there on the track. You got to get some clean air, get some space, and really go for your hot lap. And you can see a lot of our drivers just spending the first few minutes trying to get out there, get their good position. And I mean, you guys have both, Brad and Drew, have had your chances to qualify. It's super annoying when you get out there, you're trying to set up for your hot lap, and there's traffic everywhere. So how do you deal, Drew, with getting out there? There's a ton of cars on the track. How do you find your space?
Yeah. Well, I would probably get behind. I would try to get behind somebody who is similarly rated, if not a little bit higher rated, in order to be able to take advantage of draft, or just to be able to ensure that the drivers that were in front of me aren't going to make some small mistakes. So lining up the drivers ahead of you is gonna provide you with at least some assurance. But in some cases that you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, I'm sure you found yourself in situations where you just can't do much about it. It's not total autopilot, but what are you looking for when you are checking the weather report to see if it's a good time, if the track conditions are right to set a good hot lap during qualifier?
Yeah, I think the big key early on, you set up for this run here at Magny-Cours a lot different. You're going to kind of go in a different mindset than you would have for our AMX 0. A lot of what these drivers, especially some of these high-end drivers like Josh Thompson, Jackson Resenje, of course, a lot of our big names here in AMX, they know that the track ramps up as qualifying goes on. So really, when you go out here on these early laps, you're doing what's called a banker, which is you're trying to get a time on board, you're trying to get comfortable, you just want to see how things are going to go. And then when you get down to those last 5 minutes, that's really where you send it. And it's a very, I hate to reference back to F1 all the time, but it's very F1-esque how this qualifying session should shape up compared to how, AMX 0, you see the drivers just go lap after lap after lap trying to improve time after time. Like you're going to watch Gaspar here, he's going to, let people by, give himself some space, and then go through, put a lap, go to the box, and then he'll do it again. And that was a Porsche facing backwards in the final corner. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, usually we save those backwards placements for the actual race. But, I mean, while backwards is not the direction you're going, several of our drivers are, in fact, can you believe it, going quite forwards. You look at Diogo Pinto, who is set at 1:39 time way up at the top. And I was actually checking out some of the real-life records set on Magny-Cours. Obviously, a track that's hosted some of the biggest races in the world. And I was checking out some 992 times, and it gets pretty darn close to this. In fact, if you're looking at Porsches, they are setting like a 1:39.5 And this is some of the best drivers in the world setting that in real life. We're here at iRacing. We're already pretty darn close to that. We already have a 139.7, and I'm expecting that time to go a little bit further down as guys like Josh Thompson, Gaston Calavi, Jackson Rezenje, none of these guys have put up times yet. So the best is yet to come. Let's try that again. The best is yet to come. Isn't that right, Brad?
Yeah, plenty of time. We're only 5 minutes into 15. Looking at driver spotlight here, Diogo Pinto with Team Redline, the 21-year-old driver. Lots of talent comes in from both Pinto and his teammate Josh Thompson there. Very, very much expecting to see these guys put in some serious speed here in these Porsches. These are cars that they know very well. And I really, really would say if you're going to look for who will put in the times, it's going to be those two. And probably Gunez are the three that I think you're going to have to watch, depending on how the sausage curves hit for them through. But those three drivers are the ones that I'm really, really keeping my eyes on through this entire session.
Yeah, did you see the dynamite there? The dynamite effect?
Okay. I see what you're talking about now, Drew. Yeah, if you guys didn't watch the AMX Zero race, Drew dropped some tidbits of wisdom talking about the bounces that can happen. You're going to have to boost your car up a little bit. What? I'm trying to think, was it like Inspector Gadget or James Bond or something, where there's one of those like dynamite explosive jacks under the car, and then he runs along and you detonate it and it pops up? It was just the coolest thing I remember seeing as a kid. And now I see it here.
Spring-loaded contraption, I'm sure.
You kind of need one of those, right?
Yeah, for sure. This last corner, as you're seeing, is, you're going to have to run a little bit higher of a ride height in order to be able to take that line like that because it's so required here. But, so because of that, you're also going to be having to adjust your suspension a little bit more, probably a little bit more tighter to that's the tricky thing with these cars is that, the suspension is so much softer, it feels like, as compared to most sports cars in this category, is that, especially with this last corner, you got to have your springs a little bit looser. You're actually getting a lot more load up, very similarly even to like the GT4 cars in this kind of a car. So yeah, even there you see, dude, it's just insane. I mean, honestly, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that that's in the game to me. That huge explosive turn is in the game. I'm not sure if that's how it is in real life or not. I'm not sure. What do you think, Brad or Reed? Is that in real life? Have you guys ever watched a real life race here?
It's not like that in real life, I can tell you. That's one of those that iRacing laser scans everything, but Reed, I will tell you that sometimes the simulation proves to be a little scarier than what you see in real life.
Well, keep in mind also, I did get a chance to watch, I think it was the Porsche Carrera Cup, right? So obviously it's not exactly the same, but comparable in some ways. And when you drive around in real life, obviously there's a little bit more to think about. You've got your mortality on the line, and I think that impacts a lot of the ways that racers take curves. Obviously, there are some extra challenges, but as Brad was mentioning a little bit, the physics might be a little bit different there, specifically in that situation. But I think for the most part, if you're getting out on the car, on this track, in these cars, it's going to look pretty darn similar. Whether it's the lap times, or the handling, or the way these race battles work, I actually think it's a pretty realistic representation. Now, as we get a chance to see how qualifiers are shaping up here, there's a couple of things I just kind of want to ask your thoughts on. If you guys notice something, feel free to shout it out. But for me, it's watching the top of the table, Diogo Pinto, Josh Thompson, and Karen Harrison. These guys are trading blows up there, back and forth, just taking turns setting the fastest lap, and I can't wait to see if somebody's going to break maybe the 39 marker or exactly how much lower these guys can go as they keep setting faster and faster laps.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of a track does really well with a deeper rubbered gripped up line. So what you're going to see is over the course of this qualifying session, especially with the way that these tires do wear out pretty quickly, is that you're going to see the track gripping up a lot more. And so the drivers who are going to be able to take advantage of that are obviously the top 10 drivers the most. But those top 5 drivers you're going to see are really stuck to that racing line. That's where they're getting most of their extra speed to be able to just stay locked in, ride on that line, and take advantage of all the extra rubber that all the other cars are leaving behind.
That's a great point,
I
Drew.
think the biggest.
Go ahead, Brad.
I think the biggest thing to notice too is that we're 9 minutes into qualifying, almost 10 minutes, and our 17 drivers are separated by just under 4 seconds, which for a 4-kilometer circuit is not that much. There's still plenty of time for all of these drivers to find. So even though, a 139.4 is super impressive, I mean, any of our drivers, of these 17 drivers, can come through and put in a good time and possibly beat that.
One of my commenters. Oh, sorry about that. We have a little bit of a delay because of my feed a little bit, but I saw one of my viewers was saying, this was happening apparently with the pickup cars at Zolder in real life just last week or two, and so the cars apparently in real life are being asked to fly all 4 wheels off the ground. I believe at this track as well, which is incredible, actually. So it is happening in real life.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an extra challenge. I don't know if it's a bonus for the viewers, but it can't be for the drivers. That's got to be really, really tough. And just to talk about the toughness, right, as we see Diogo Pinto back up at the top, kind of where he belongs, we probably need to introduce these guys. If you're an old fan of sim racing and you've watched some of the big teams, you watch some of the big tournaments, then this might not be news to you. But if you're new to watching guys like Diogo Pinto, Josh Thompson, and Kieran Harrison, these are all guys with a lot of powerful sim racing experience behind them, under their belts. Specifically, Diogo Pinto, who is been featured on the Porsche.com website because he did take the title in the 2022 Porsche TAG Heuer Esports Super Cup, which is one of the biggest Porsche tournaments out there. This guy was a champion in 2022. So if there's anybody that knows how to drive these cars, it is Diogo Pinto. And so it's even more impressive that guys like his teammate, Josh Thompson, who also drives in the TAG Heuer Esports Super Cup for Porsche, he's also one of the best performers this season as well. So for guys like Jackson Resenje, Corentin Guinez, Kieran Harrison, to be up there with these guys, they have a little bit of an advantage. It's not just that they're great drivers overall, specifically in these cars on this day, they are going to be sort of the class of the field, and it's really going to be kind of a contest to see who can live up to the very high standards that we have at the very, very top of this AMX 10 race. So
absolutely. I mean,
that's the way we're doing it.
Bizarre.
That's the way we're doing it. All right, it's kind of my fault. Brad, why don't you talk about what you've seen from Fabrizio Belziti this season?
Fabrizio Belziti has been a very, very competitive driver all the way through, representing Voracious Racing, and just he's been a good competitor all the way through. Fabrizio Belziti, I've said his name a lot during every AMX 10 race that I've commentated, because he's always in the mix of things. You can see there right now, sitting P7. As we go into the last couple of minutes of qualifying, Reed, this is going to be one of those things where we invert the grid. And, depending on how the front goes, Fabrizio Belziti may find his way all the way up to the front. And he tends to have a very, very strong defense as well. So it's very, very fun to watch Belziti drive. And again, just ramping off those sausage curbs.
Yeah, no, I've actually got to give a shout out to Drew for telling us the best analogy I've seen for what that looks like. It really is a little bit of dynamite under the cars, get the lift on there. But none of our drivers lifting. That's the segue. So far as we have the final minute of qualifiers, I'm doing my best, Drew. So in the last minute, Drew, your prediction, please. Who is going to be the biggest gainer? We got a minute left in qualifier. Who's going to do it?
Well, I mean, I would certainly say Pinto is my shoe-in probably for the day based on what I'm seeing right now. But I mean,
controversial as always, Drew.
I don't know. I mean, it's just what I'm seeing. I mean, Pinto, like you said, his acumen is deep. He's unparalleled. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, every race that I've ever seen him in is always with him either winning or top, definitely in the podium. So he's definitely one of the faster drivers here. But you always have to look in the middle too, because just like me or just like any maybe normal human being, unlike the aliens, sometimes we have like off days. You know what I mean? And like we actually qualify maybe a little bit slower because we're human beings with flesh and blood and not robots. And so, like for example, Zamperlini, who is more, let's say more like my kind of skill level. Let's maybe a little faster, maybe a little faster. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, like, a driver like that will have a lot of chances when the race comes, even though he starts at the back.
Well, that's going to do it for our qualifying session. If you guys were paying close attention to the very end of qualifiers, you'll kind of know what's coming up as we just take a look at the final results from our first qualifier. I guess it's our only qualifier of AMX 10 Race 14. This is kind of what it looks like. We've got Diogo Pinto, who, by the way, is not a privateer. He is on Team Redline, just like his teammate Josh Thompson, who are the class of the field in 1 and 2, with the countryman Kieran Harrison floating into third place, final podium spot there. Top 5 is rounded out by Jackson Resenge representing Tony Kanan Esports Brazil and Quarantine Ganez from simrc.de. That's Sim Racing Community. .de, a German website. If you want to join them, if that's your persuasion, you can get involved with the same guys that Quarantine Guinness is representing up there. Apex Racing Team gets into the top 6 with Gael Valero and Fabrizio Belziti representing a lot of the Voracious Racing Team drivers out there also. So you guys can check out what the top 17 looks like. It looks like we're going to have about 17 racers here today, so a lot of action out there. Maybe even a surprise 18th racer with Simon Weger joining there. So maybe it's Weger. I don't know. Either way, we've got a lot of great drivers doing a lot of great things on this race. And after our top 15 inversion, thanks to the reverse grid, this is what it looks like. We got Eliseo and Calavi lining up on the top of the grid in row 1. Gerardo Ramos and Facundo Rago in second place. Fabio Zamperlini, Pedro Mora in third. And you guys can read on down the line. Really interesting to see what it's going to look like once we flip guys like Josh Thompson and Kieran Harrison back to the back of the grid. What's your thoughts on the carnage upcoming, Drew? Are you closing your eyes? Are you hiding your face?
No, dude, I want to see that. I want to see that carnage right up in my face, right in turn 1. You know how it is. It's when you're a driver, when you're a driver out there, you're just like, dudes, let's just have a relaxing time. Let's have a good time. Let's keep it clean. But when you're a viewer, it's like, well, you kind of want to see it. I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, I'm right there with you, and I don't even need to hear Brad's thoughts, but I'm sure that you are perhaps a connoisseur of carnage. Is that fair statement, Brad?
It makes for interesting commentary.
It sure does. I mean, we're starting to get this underway. It's almost impossible when you have Porsche. You also have a Porsche like safety car, the peace car in the front. So I'm always curious, like, okay, there it is. That one's not racing, guys, but all the other ones are.
Don't do what I do. I have forgotten that there's a pace lap with Porsches and commentated the pace lap as if it was a racing lap.
You're like, why are they going so slowly? They're very polite today.
I may or may have not done that once or twice live on AMX, but we don't talk about that.
That's right. No, it never.
That makes me feel better.
You didn't see anything. It is, all back in the past. Now, that being said, we are about ready to get racing. You can see these guys are going a little bit faster. What does that mean? Oh my God, they might be actually about to start racing here. We are heading around this track. It's about 4 kilometers long, and so the racing will eventually start here. Obviously, you do want to get things warmed up a little bit, but like Drew was talking about earlier, you got to watch out for the tire deg. It's going to hit pretty hard. It rubberizes the track pretty heavily, which is going to polarize the way it looks. The future might be, we had some hints about what's coming up, but we have no idea what is about to start as we get ready for our first lap. This is the calm before the storm, Drew.
Yeah, here we go. Coming around to the last few corners. Like we've said at the beginning, so Diego Pinto did get the P1 on the pole position, but of course he starts at P15. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what he does. I think that's what's very intriguing about this as a format, is that you get to see a lot of those drivers who, start pole, run away with P1, and then it's just like, okay, cool, see you later. Like all that skill is kind of just like watching a cool dude do hot laps. But now Diego, starting, starting in P15, we get to see his traffic action going on.
Yeah, got some actual racing to do. All right, Brad, it's almost time. We've almost made it through our entire pace lap. Now, let's go ahead and get started the race. I'll leave you with the call to get things started once these guys pass through the finish line in the final corners of Circuit de, Nevier? Nevers? Magny-Court.
I'm just gonna go with that let me hop in here, guys. I'm the cultured one here. Okay, hold on. Circuit de Magny-Court.
Okay, all right.
There we
nice
go.
one, Drew. Our resident
actually,
definitely not
style,
French
so it's
guy.
actually I think it's actually Circuit. Yeah, Circuit.
All right. What do you call those, the crescent-shaped pastries? Never mind. We'll save that for later. We're getting up into it. And there is that bump. We're coming up to the start-finish line, Brad, so go ahead and take us through the start of the race.
Drivers coming around the final corner here, and it is go, Reed. This is where green flag is dropped by Barney the Flagman. You can see it's already going to get single foul early on here as we see Kohalvi through. Elisiu slots back into P2, Ragos into P3, and Ramos into P4 as they hold on. Zamperlini up into 5th already. Everybody's kind of just settling in. Pedro Mora's lost a spot. Oliveira's lost a spot. The Gaspar, everyone's settling through. The Team Redline drivers in the back, I know we've talked a lot about them, but they are settling in through. Somebody in the back is spun.
Okano
lost it out early. And that is probably not the way you want to start lap 1 of this 8-lap race. And Valero working his way up. There's been some big carnage in the midfield. Something has happened.
Yeah, we missed a crash from...
we've missed something big.
Yeah, it's more of Valero and Villarreal had a spin. We might get a picture-in-picture, a quick replay of that. But there have actually been some big winners. With the tragedy flowing through the field, the members of the rear pack are starting to move up. We got Harrison moving up to 9th. We got guys like Kyle Gaspar also holding strong in the middle of the field. And after the reverse grid, we actually have the people that got flipped up to the top of the standings holding pretty well. Out in the rarefied air, it's Calabi, Eliseo, Rago, and Zamperlini rounding out your top 4.
Those top guys are going to be, they're only holding on right now because the tire degradation doesn't really. Oh, there we go. There's a late breaker.
And that was a big, like you said, late braking, brakes not existent, brakes locking up, a lot going on there. And that sends Gael Valero off the track and into the back. And obviously he'll get back on and start his way back up. But that's going to be a big recovery drive for him and guys like Diogo Pinto. I keep saying Diogo Pinto, +5 right now up into 10th.
Yeah, Diogo's gonna probably be shooting for that P1, that's for sure. But you're what I was kind of saying before is that as you're seeing probably after lap 5, you're gonna see the weaker drivers have much hotter tires than the better drivers, and then it's gonna be those last 3 laps where the faster drivers really are gonna have maybe even in some cases like 2 second, like 1.5 second advantage over those drivers that are in the top 5 essentially right now. And there's that first lap crash in slow motion there. A lot of opportunities for vortex of danger on this course. Unfortunately, with those big wide sweeping turns, it invites 2 wide, 3 wide situations.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, that's the struggle, right? How hard you push it. Is now the hill you want to die on? Well, we've actually seen quite a few people dying on quite a few different hills. So we hop on board with Fabrizio Belziti. He's there in the middle of the pack, and he's got a great race going for him. He's +1, but that just means he's chilling out in the middle, and he's got to contend though with Diogo Pinto coming up hot behind him. Let's see if he can get that defense done. So keep an eye on that. And it's actually Diogo with the overtake as soon as we swap away. Nice. It's the F1 TV director is alive and controlling our stream. Rago. That's Facundo Rago. For Voracious Racing Team up there at the front trying to hold off. He's climbing like Quarantine Guinness, who with the French flag is rising up in the standings as we chill out for a second.
Ooh, that's a unusual iRacing moment there. A little bit of a desync there from the server, but Reed looks like we're back and we're good here holding on, but that is kind of one of the things with sim racing that you kind of learn to contend with. Sometimes you'll have those little blinks, those moments when you're racing. That's a big problem. But it looks like things are good. Fabio Zamperlini is dropping like a brick at the moment.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone else has been keeping up with that. He is down 2 places, but he was up a bit, and he's just continuing to fall as we see Diogo Pinto up the inside, Josh Thompson around as well. Now Fabrizio Belziti is in the mix as well, just behind that. So yeah, Fabulous Fabio isn't feeling very fabulous here in this Heat 1 race, Reed.
He might have a little bit of damage.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm just gonna hop in. It only takes one. With these kind of cars, if you've never driven these cars, or if you're a weaker driver with these cars, it only takes one little mistake. I'm not even joking you. One little mistake with these tires, a little bit of a lockup, a little bit of an oversteer on entry, a little bit too much throttle on exit, and you are going to pay the price 100% of the time. Because Diogo, guess what? His tire temperature is like is in the prime temperature, right? He barely overuses his tires, right? So that's why he's just climbing and climbing and climbing, is that every time one of these guys makes mistakes, you're opening the door for Diogo to hop in.
That's a great point. Depending on how much actual racing is going on, right? When you're racing somebody, when you're back and forth, you're trying to contend with the defense, trying to make that overtake happen, you are really stressing out your tires there. And if you are more of a defensive driver and you're waiting for the race to come to you, you can just focus on doing your best drive and not actually getting that much stress. So great point there, Drew. And actually, I was going to ask you, Brad, while we've been talking, and what have you been noticing across the field? Is it just Diogo Pinto charging plus 10 up the standings? Is there anything else happening out there?
Kieran Harrison and Courting Yunez are absolutely sending it, but I think the big thing is Mohalny started in first with the reverse grid. He's still holding on to P1 right now. He's not having much of an issue with it. I mean, he's still up there. Facundo Drago is in P2, started P3. So, I mean, those drivers are still holding their own up front. I would not discount them as we've hit the halfway point here. But Kieran Harrison, Courting Yunez are going to have a big defensive masterclass. Elysiu's dropped back a bit. I mean, there's been some good mix-ups through the grid as we watch, but it really is going to be a point of what can you do to fend off those drivers that have really, you know, as Drew said, kept their tires in their prime, as we see, you know, all the drivers really trying to hold their own. Drivers that have conserved just that little bit here going into the back half as opposed to the front half of the race. Ooh.
And now we're on board with Harrison as Diogo is looking up the inside, starting to take over there. Diogo is absolutely bombing through that last corner, which is one of the hardest ones to be taking aggressively. But Diogo is right on the 6 of Harrison, and now we're back on board with Guinness.
Yeah, we're back on board specifically with this battle for the front 5-6 spots. This is so action-packed, and it's all because Diogo Pinto and Josh Thompson, the Team Redline teammates, are just absolutely going toe-to-toe, and they're both trying to climb up the field. Right now, we've got Diogo Pinto absolutely on a charger, plus 10, and looking to battle it back with Kieran Harrison, who's sort of gatekeeping that top 3, as we see Corentin and Guinness make the big move into second right now. And look at how close this is. Every single turn, they're trying to fight for it. And this is that battling we were talking about as Belziti gets a big spin out. He is out of here. The action's still contending as we're on board with Kieran Harrison, who continues to have maybe the most difficult job of any man alive here. He's climbing and fighting off Diogo Pinto and Josh Thompson as they charge through the field.
As Diogo got through that 2 wide situation, now he's moving back, moving even harder on Harrison. He's got a nice gap to Facundo Rago. Facundo really kind of looking like he's struggling here as the race is winding down. And, Harrison's doing a good job. But honestly, I'm surprised that Kalabi's still leading out this back right now. He's hanging on for dear life somehow, really finding some pace. I mean, he started P8, so he probably qualified around. And off he goes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Man, you jinxed it. Man, come on.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry, Kalabi.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all your fault. I mean, it's not Brad's fault. It's not my fault. There's only one person we can talk about. Kalavi dropping all the way down means that now anything can happen. The top of the race is up for grabs. Let's see who is going to take it. We're on board right now with Josh Thompson, and he has had a pretty impressive trip up the standings, but he hasn't been able to match the master, Diogo Pinto, his teammate, who's charged up into second. Kieran Harrison, sort of the middle of the top five, still has a monster race on his hand. But honestly, I'm glad we're watching Facundo Rago here, because he is really going to be representing the top of the best of Argentina right here. Out of his teammates, he is right behind Kalavi, who's dropped down. Now it's up to him to hold the flag and wave it into the top five. Speaking of flags that we're waving, let's hop on board with Josh Thompson as we pick up that Kalavi spin. Yeah, kind of an unforced error, I want to say. Am I wrong in saying that, Brad?
You know, it's. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. Yeah, Brad, you take it, bro.
Drew, is your name Brad? Oh my God.
Okay. Sorry, I heard my name. I was so excited.
It's all good. All right, Brad.
I heard my name replace his name.
Go for it, Brad. What happened there?
I have two takes on that. One of that is just side-by-side action and maybe a little bit of a bump. And the second thing is, as we talked about with sim racing, there's something called net code that can get you every once in a while. And I think, because it didn't look like that serious, there was really side-by-side contact. And in real life, I don't feel like you would feel that. As we see another little blink there. Like in real life, I don't think you would really feel that. I think it would be just a little bit of a nudge and go. But, you know, in iRacing, you have internet and everything else. And sometimes those little moments turn into big ones. I think, unfortunately, Drew, you can attest to this. That's what happened there.
Now we're on board with Pinto. Now P3. I thought he got up to P2 after that accident, so I'm not sure how he dropped back down to 2, but he's right with Harrison right now. Maybe, honestly, if Pinto is smart, which he is, he's probably just chilling a little bit, letting those tires kind of cool down. He's been pushing this entire race. Yeah, but I think he's just going to go for it.
Big moment right now. He's going to go around the inside, through the curve, wheel to wheel. A little bit of a bump. That's how Diogo Pinto does it. Up into second. Just giving a love tap to Kieran Harrison and see ya up into the top two.
Harrison is definitely going to be looking to take back here. That's for sure. At least apply some pressure. I mean, if I'm Harrison, you're definitely you're going to be looking to maybe poke your nose in and not let Diogo get away too quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Brad, what do you think about that? Was that just a clear and true trip on the inside? There's no overtake button, so how do you get that much speed?
That was a bit of a slipstream, a bit of skill, and a little bit of guts that I think all went into play there all at once. Just stick the car on the inside, and it's going to stick. And I think it, again, shows the racecraft and the skill that the drivers have there, especially for Diogo Pinto. That's a lot of experience in these Porsches, a lot of racecraft, and a lot of guts that you're seeing there to make a move like that stick. It's not something you'd see someone in rookie class try, but that goes to show, you know, with over 9,000 I rating of experience coming out to play up front. But now his big battle is, can he chase down Gunez, and can Harrison get back past him? And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think any of these drivers care that they're racing Team Redline. I think they care about they're racing for a win right now. So we're going to see some competitive action here.
Yeah, the competitive action heating up in the back. That battle for sixth, I'm glad we got a chance to watch that for a while, because Pedro de Oliveira is motoring. He is absolutely making a tear up through the field. So it's not just this action up at the front. We also have that battle for 6th, 7th, 8th. It's heating up also as well. And can't forget to keep an eye on guys like Kyle Valero, who is really, man, it's so tense back there. He's making up 2 or 3 places, then he's falling back. He's making it up and falling back. It's a struggle back in the back of the pack. So the tension is actually race-wide. There's always something different going on. And we were talking about tension. I mean, you can't forget about Gaston Kalavi. This guy knows what it's like up at the top as he got flipped back up there, and he is not taking no for an answer. He absolutely wants to climb back up into that top 5, 6, 7, or 5, 4, 3, and he at times is incredibly close to it. Resenge also behind him, the Brazilian, is just as dangerously close too. As you see them very, very close together in through that curve, if there was a little bit more speed there, I thought he was going to take the inside line, but it's not coming to him just yet. Man, Drew, take us through what is going to be maybe the worst most terrible, and by that I mean best, lap of the entire race. We're about to close this out as we see it down to the wire. It's Jackson Resende, Gaston Calavi, and man, yeah, this is the way it's going to finish. Oh my God.
Oh, that's it.
Okay, that's not bad. This is the checkered flag coming through. And I do want to apologize. I wasn't exactly sure when we were going to end that. I knew we were on the final lap, but I didn't expect it to come quite there. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and what a way to start off our AMX 10 race. Heat number 1. And just to mention, that is only heat number 1. So while this is the way that we're looking at it, it's not the way that it's going to finish, because we get to go back through and do it all over again. Drew, why don't you take us through the final rundown?
Yep, Heat 1 results. We've, again, this is a top 15 reverse grid for the next race. So everybody's going to be flipped upside down here. Guinness, followed by Pinto, Harrison in P3, Thompson in P4. Facundo Rago in P5, Kulhavi P6, Resende P7, Oliveira P8, Elizeu P9, Fabio Zamperlini P10, P11 Belziti and Mora P12, P13 is Valero P14, Gaspar, and rounding out the top 15 is Gerardo Ramos.
That's right. Gerardo Ramos, if you want to
put a
little flair on there. Yeah. We're about to get things started again. And as we reverse the grid, what do you think about this reverse grid so far, Brad? Because if you look at what happens after we flip it up, we've still got like some pretty incredible racers up there towards the top. I mean, Gaio Valera's row 2.
Yeah, and I think the big thing to understand too is like all of these drivers have pace. Like, even though we're inverting the grid, and you're like, oh, well, the guy that finished P15 is P1 now, like, blah, 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 slower driver can pass. No, the guys that are up front have a lot of pace. And the nice thing with it is, like, Gaio Valero is a world champion license. He's got pace. He has a lot in there, and I think we're going to see a lot more through Pedro Mora with the Tony Kanaan esports team. A lot of pace there, and Jackson Resende. But now we get to watch, again, we talked about it in Heat 1, we get to watch Josh Thompson and Diogo Pinto fight their way back forward again, and we get to see the guys up front, get to show their pace that maybe just had an unfortunate Heat 1, with some spins, some different things that happen, and it really resets the field and mixes things up. It gives everyone, that equal chance to try to get that luck on your side to win through. And I think at this point, it's really, really going to be a battle of, as we go through the formation lap, who can get lucky in lap 1. Lap 1 luck is going to be where I think we need to see things for these drivers.
Yep, the lap 1 luck is an important factor. Certainly, I think that I think a lot of the good, better drivers are just going to play it nice and easy. There's a lot more opportunity, I think, for the better drivers in this Heat 2, only because of the fact that, well, I guess actually no, they're the same amount of laps as well. Isn't that right? Is it the same laps? Is that right?
Right, so we still have 8 laps of racing here, but keep in mind we are starting out with a rolling start, so that's going to eat through our time out on the track just a little bit.
I see. Okay. Well, I guess you have the same situations occurring here this race. I mean, the drivers who are likely going to be making the moves, like always, like last time, was Pinto is starting P15 again. Guinness is starting P14. Josh Thompson 13, Harrison 12. Kulhavi and Rago, Oliveira, those guys right there are probably going to be the ones who are going to be basically moving through the pack together. So if I were one of them, I would be picking out my rivals, picking out my friends, and trying to make as much big space as possible as you're going through some of these back markers, essentially.
Okay, that's not bad strategy, and we do see a lot of that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily team orders all the time, because you do see quite a bit of racing done between teammates. And actually, if you want to get the real front row seat, you can check out Team Redline's stream of this event and of their participation in this event. You want to see what Diogo has to say, if he's really, really hard racing with Josh Thompson and the rest of the racers. It's actually some pretty good insight if you want the real pro look at what is happening here. I'm happy to have Team Redline Racing here, but it is really interesting to see who's really giving the most difficult time to a lot of the racers in our field. Corentin Guinness, right? This guy was a dominant up until the very final moments of the very last lap. So we also had some really big tragedies towards the start of that with guys like Guile Valero dropping back. But let's go ahead and start things off there. The pace car is out of the way, and we are underway with our very beginning of our very final lap, or our very final heat of the night. It's Heat 2, AMX 10 Race 14, and we are racing the Porsche Cup cars out on circuit, the Never Magny Core. Let's go ahead and get things started with the beginning of our race. Brad, take us through this opening lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Big run there into the first couple of corners, and now you see the Team Redline drivers of Josh Thompson trying to get past the Tony Kanaan Esports drivers. As we see Gunes, Pinto, Racinje all mixed up, Harrison, Kulhalvi. Everyone's trying to hold on here, and you can really see the action. It's 3x3 going into the hairpin here. Right,
it's a 4-wide.
4-wide for a bit, and Tony Kanaan gets together there. Who was that he connected with there? I believe that was Jackson Racinje and Harris getting a little bit of contact there, helping each other through the corner. We'll call it a little bit of teamwork, and there's a big ramp off the sausage curb, and I think Jackson Racinje into the kitty litter, the gravel, whatever you want to call it, as he goes off.
I saw that launch off.
Big moment from Racinje.
No way he survives that. Yeah, incredible,
Wow.
incredible stuff.
I was just going to say also incredible stuff. So twins, we got it going on. I don't know how you're supposed to avoid that. That's just some really difficult racing. Anytime you try to cram 3-4 wide through a corner, not everybody can make it through that. So some rough racing so far, but I'm glad we're on board with Diogo Pinto right now in that Team Redline livery down in P9. It has been a good drive for him. He avoided a lot of the wreckage there, but off the side, that's Pedro de Oliveira who takes the wide trip around through the gravel, and that means that it's starting to get dangerous down there towards that reverse gridded spot. However, you can already see the cream kind of rising to the top here. Josh Thompson, Diogo Pinto climbing up through the field into 6 and 7. Which means that the chaos that they left behind has to find some way to work it out. As we hop on board with our race leader, Caio Gaspar, who has Guile Valero, one of the big losers of the first race, right up behind him as he gets flipped up into that top row. And that means it's going to be incredibly competitive at that top 5 spots, even so early in the race. And let's watch how the field feeds through itself into some of these difficult corners as we check out the Racinje crash behind. What happened there, Brad?
Yeah, so the big thing with it there was he bounced off the curb, and then as he came back in, he just got a bit of help through, and there's not a lot you can do to save it at that point. It's a it's there and it's gone. It's just, it is what it is at that point. Once tires come off the ground, you're a passenger, Reed. And that's about all you've got once tires come off the ground. It really is just hold on, pray. You might save it, you might not, and that's about where you're at.
That's where we are at as we hop on board with Pedro Mora. This guy's trying to hold down that reverse grid third place he has. He's climbed up 1, but can he hold on because he has the class of the field coming up behind him. Josh Thompson, Diogo Pinto has motored their way into the top 5 and 6, and with Belzidia and this guy on your screen, Mora, representing Tony Kanaan Racing, they really have their work cut out for them. They're in a good spot. They actually have a decent lead in some cases, but as we hop on board with Belzidi, let's see what he has to contend with. Drew, what do you think about this top 5 and 6? It doesn't get much more competitive than this.
Yeah, we're seeing some high-quality drivers. Pinto already making his way up to P6. Gaspar holding on to P1 for now. Valero, Mora, Belzidi, Thompson. Zamberlini in P8, Oliveira P9. Oliveira was the driver who cooked the tires earlier, so he's likely not to be moving up any more than that. Zamberlini, I think, is we're talking an 8-second, almost a full second, or so 8/10 gap. And you're seeing some battles here. You're seeing some of the top drivers. Belzidi leading out this 2-wide situation. Belzidi obviously appreciating the extra room for his pace, and still 2 wide behind him as well. Looks like Diogo Pinto is moving a little closer to Thompson with a half-second gap. Is falling quickly though.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's keep an eye on Diogo Pinto. So I'm glad we're watching him right here We might be doing that for a little while in this race as we see one of the masters of his craft climbing up through the field. You're already seeing him close hundreds, tenths, every single corner as he climbs past not only his teammate Josh Thompson, but the man on your screen right now, Fabrizio Belziti, the Argentinian in third right now. He's climbed 2 spots to get here, but holding on might just be a little bit difficult. We're about halfway through the race, not even. So there's still plenty of time left to race, which means if you're defending, you've got to hold on a little bit longer, and if you're attacking, you still have plenty of time to make these spots up. And for guys like Josh Thompson, he is choosing that moment to be now. So let's see what happens as he tries to make this up. Although I will say you got to give a lot of credit to Fabrizio Belziti in the top 3 for doing some of the best drives we've seen all night long. As we check out not only the front of the field, but this battle for 8. What's happening there, Brad?
Yeah, battle for P8 there. It's fabulous Fabio Zamperlini again, Pedro Oliveira, and Cortin Gunes that are all kind of battling it out there. That 8th place, of course, that is the essential point where you hit things, but don't lose your eyes up front as Fabrizio Belziti does finally lose out on that defensive. And again, that battle for P8 is still mixing things up as Zamperlini now drops into P10. A big battle's being given all the way through the field. Josh Thompson and Diogo Pinto have found their way past Fabrizio Belziti, but he's right back where he started, which is not a bad place to be there in P5, and that battle for P8 is continuing to heat up there. Again, we're watching now Gunes, Oliveira, and Zamperlini, who are there in that P8, 9, 10 spot respectively, as we watch Gunes, who is now going to set off to chase down Ramos, who started this Heat 2 in first place and is just kind of fallen back since the beginning. He's dropped down quite a bit, Reed. He's trying to hold on. Yep. But a lot of things we have to watch here, and I wish I had more eyeballs so I could keep my eyes on things. A battle for P8, but also now Kyle Gaspar is getting under a lot of pressure, Reed, and I think this is just going to mount for the last half of the race.
Yeah, Drew, walk us through what's happening here at the front, because it is absolutely intense watching Gaspar, Valero, Pinto, and Thompson battle it out for these top 4 spots.
Yeah, I'm just right behind Valero. You see Pinto overtaking Thompson just pretty calmly, pretty easily, actually, and he's already making his way almost to the bumper of Valero's. So, you know, if you're Gaspar right now, you're pretty much you see the writing on the wall. He's number 14. You know, we'll see if Pinto can close the deal. We've got 3 laps left. There's enough time, I think, for Pinto to close the deal here.
Bold words. I'd like to see it. You know, I'd actually like to see absolutely anything. There's something exciting about everything happening here. And honestly, a lot of it comes from Josh Thompson and Diogo Pinto motoring their way up through the field. This is exactly like we saw in heat number 1, like a hot knife through butter. Oh, they coming up through the top 3 and 4. And now it gets a little bit more compressed. Previously, we saw guys like Resenge, like Kulhavi, be the barriers, the gatekeepers of those top 2 spots. It didn't last long, and it was not pretty to watch the fall. And so this time around, we've got the man on your screen right now, Io Gaspar, and you're seeing what he's seeing in his rear view mirror. Gael Valero right on behind him, less than a second, less than 3/10 behind that. And behind that, it just gets even worse. The nightmare continues, the different circles of sim racing hell. As you got Pinto and Thompson right on each other's heel, battling not only each other, but the top of the field for the very top. And we're only 5 laps in. This is where the meat of the action is going to happen as we close in on our 6th lap. Only 2 more remaining as we start and continue to see this battle for 7th, which honestly might even be more exciting, Brad.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eyes on that bottom right screen. I've been kind of splitting back and forth because that battle, for a while, we watched Zamperlini, who got passed by Harrison, and now it's that battle for 7. Gunes, Ramos, and Oliveira as they battle through. Ramos now getting overtaken by Oliveira up the inside there. And of course, these are very, very important points places down in P7, 8. Gael Valero here as we watch on the main screen, though, with Diogo Pinto trying to have a run around the outside, setting up that corner a little bit differently. Outside turns to inside. Very, very smooth driving there. And these second, third, and fourth are our 3 world champion licenses, our pro licenses. They're some of the best in iRacing. And it is truly going to be a battle of the greats here. If you're Kyle Gaspar, you're crossing your fingers, you're crossing your toes. You are just praying that those 3 will battle each other behind. Just stay behind, just keep battling, take each other out. I don't care. Kyle Gaspar is in a very, very good position right now. And P7 is in a good position too, as we watch there. Gunez, who is continuing to work his way forward as well.
Yeah, it's really the battle for sixth, actually. If you hop one place further, it's Gunez and Mora battling back and forth and back and forth. It's really, I don't know, too close to call at this point. But the front of the field is honestly where the biggest action is, and that's Diogo Pinto coming around the side. He thought he had the wheel inside, but he couldn't make it happen there, so he moves back to the other side, back and forth, gets the switch up off and into second, or not. It's the bump trap, and just a dirty move through on Gael Valero, who gets dropped back to fourth, dropped back to fifth as Belzini comes through into fourth, and that sends the Team Redline Racers up into the top three.
Yeah, incredible move by Pinto there. I thought for sure he was done for, but somehow making it stick in one of the hardest corners on this track. That is probably one of the hardest corners in GT3 racing, which is essentially what these cars are, except with no traction control and no ABS. So drivers like Pinto are some of really the best drivers in iRacing who can really take the car to its absolute limits and not go over it. And let me tell you, it is very, very difficult to make it look as easy as Diogo Pinto does.
I mean, speaking of making it look easy, Kyle Gaspar, he is holding so strong here. He's been at the lead for the majority of this race, and he's got a 7/10 lead, which is not something basically anyone else can say against guys like everything in his rearview mirror. Fabrizio Belzini's putting up great times, but if you check the sector times, I'm really glad we're showing that as a shout out to our production for adding that to the conversation. You can see that actually Gaspar is pulling away from Pinto. Look at that climb. Thompson's still on the climb, so you gotta watch out for that. But some big moves being made in the front of the field, not only to get the overtakes done, but for Kyle Gaspar, he's really doing a great job, although as I say that, the lead is just totally evaporated. So maybe
I might know the answer to why Gaspar is actually pulling at least a little bit, is that Pinto's tires were likely to be overheated for at least that last lap because of the moves from that dive in from the previous last corner. But now his tires have cooled down, and now you're seeing the attack build up yet again.
Yeah, Brad, this is going to be it. Is this where Diogo Pinto does it? Walk us through the final moments of our final lap of our final heat.
Yep, white flag's out, and this is going to be where it is. Side by side, we run through. Gaspar is trying to defend. He's going to really want to defend that inside line through going into the corner, and you can see Pinto to the outside. He's defending it. Little bit of door contact. Gaspar loses rear traction. He's not going to be able to hold it now. As we run down, Gaspar just a little bit back, and at this point, can Thompson take advantage as well? As we run through here, Reed, this is going to be all she wrote for this AMX 10 Race 14 Heat 2. This is where things are decided, and as it goes through, Diogo Pinto already pulling out half a second, but that doesn't mean this is over for him. As we run around here, Gaspar trying to fight through. Thompson's looking through. Belzini over a second back at this point. It's really just neck and neck at this point. The battle for P2, I think Diogo Pinto might have P1 in the bag here, as he's already pulled out almost 3/4 of a second. Now Thompson, look at this outside. Behind him though, Valero and Belzini switching places too. Now Valero trying to look around here. Gaspar trying to hold on to it, and Josh Thompson is really trying to get competitive. Switch back there. Very, very cheeky moves. He's holding on as much as he can. Now Gaspar going to defend the inside here into it, and he is able to hold on to it. And at this point, it's the run through the chicane there. He watches the sausage curb. He holds on, and Kyle Gaspar, a beautiful defensive masterclass through. And then Gael Valero, good defense into P4 there. Fabrizio Belzini, P5. Gunez Harrison, that battle for P6, again, stayed competitive all the way through. Gerardo Ramos, and that caught my attention there. Pedro Mora going through. Gaston Kojavi, Jackson Resenje is our last driver across. Last driver to earn a few dollars. And Reed, I think that ends off round 2.
What a way to finish that race off. I had no idea who was going to win that at the end. Beautiful pass at the final lap, at the final moment. Josh Thompson also making it up there. Really strong defensive drive. I got to call out Kyle Gaspar. Held on to the first place for longer than anybody else. And then also was able to defend masterfully to keep Josh Thompson down there in third. Gael Valero comes back after a disappointing first heat. In heat number 2, he really impresses, finishes up there in the top 4. And Fabrizio Belziti for Voracious Racing Team, one of 3 of their drivers competing in AMX 10 this season, and he's found himself up in the top 5, a really big result for him, as our previous heat winner, Corentin Ganez, finds himself out of the top 5 in 6th, and closing things out at the bottom of the standings, Jackson Resenge, our last prize money winner, down there in 15th, before some difficult runs for Arcano and Diego Villarreal. So, man, what a way to finish this off. I could not have predicted almost any of those placements. Drew, what did you see happen there towards the final lap that really impressed you the most?
Honestly, I mean, I think the thing that sticks out to me, I'm surprised that I know that I've been talking about Pinto the whole time, but is Pinto being able to send it in on that last corner, totally destroying his rear tires, and then being able to pull it back and still getting P1. I just am blown away by that, especially when Gaspar was in clean air, pretty much didn't get challenged the whole race. It looked like he was, cooling his tires pretty much the entire time. So yeah, Pinto with the hot tires being able to take P1, it's shocking.
Really, really impressive finish to that race, and I hope we get a chance to talk to some of our drivers and figure out exactly what happened there. How did those final seconds of our final heat really go down? Because it can look like they just hit the NOS button and boost a rocket into the sun, but it's not quite that simple. Especially when, like you were talking about, Drew, you got those overheated tires. You're busy racing, everybody nonstop the entire time, making huge climbs up the field. And really, also, I wish we could talk to guys like Kyle Gaspar and see, what does it look like to be up at the front and have everybody trying to pile into your place and hang on for dear life through the end of that. That is one of the most impressive drives that we've seen all season long. Brad, what did you think? What was your takeaway from our time in AMX 10 here tonight?
I think my biggest takeaway is expect the unexpected. It really is one of those, we can say name a name and where they're going to finish, but it's never that simple as things go through. The defensive class from Kyle Gaspar all the way through up until the end. I mean, I genuinely thought up until those final couple of corners he was going to hold on to it, but Diego Pinto was able to just pull something out of somewhere, and it just shows the skill that there is in AMX all the way through, and it was very, very impressive to watch Reed. All of the drivers really, really give their best through.
Yeah, wow. Not a lot to say other than wow after that performance. And can't wait to actually get a chance to talk to some of our drivers here. So really exciting to not only see what they have to say, but also to hear what they have to say too. So I think we're actually going to head out to an interview. So we'll see you guys in just a second with our first interview of the night in a little bit. Anyway, should be ready to go here. And looks like we are going to get a chance to talk to Josh Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. So have him in here and see what his experience was as he took a pretty strong trip up through the field and get a chance to hear what he has to say. So looks like I'm looking down, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And should be about ready to go to that interview here. If you guys have questions for any of our drivers, feel free to tweet them at us or send us a message in Twitch or YouTube chat. We'd love to see what you have to say. And so we'll go ahead and get into that Josh Thompson interview here in just a second. All right, going to go ahead and welcome our first interviewee. That is Josh Thompson. Josh, we've had you here before, but it's a little bit of a different situation this time. What was your race like? Qualifier, Heat 1, Heat 2. How was your time in AMX today?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. Obviously, driving the Cup car, so something a bit more familiar compared to obviously the Cadillac on Wednesday, and obviously NASCAR,
Yeah.
So a bit different. But yeah, it was actually quite nice. Not really driven the car around here before, and it's probably going to win the World Championship next year. They always throw it on, so it's good practice. Obviously, against Diogo, it's always a good benchmark, so basically just trying to race him as much as I could. So yeah, overall, pretty good in all races and qualifying.
Yeah, talking about the benchmarks here, especially with the reverse grid putting you back in the back of the field, we saw some monster drives from you and Diogo. And honestly, you have a lot of experience driving the Porsche Cup car, but on this track with the reverse grid, what was it like, sort of charging up the field? It didn't look as easy as you might think it was. It looked a little bit challenging, especially in Heat 2.
To be honest, the hardest part of the whole thing was just getting through the chicane at the start because of rolling starts. Race 2, I thought I was gone. It was like I was in the middle 3 wide and I thought I was going to get turned. So
yeah,
that was probably the hardest part because obviously that really unsettles people going up into the hairpin. But if you lost out in the chicane at the start, people would then try and gain it back straight away in the hairpin.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it wasn't too bad. It was pretty straightforward. Obviously, I had damage on the front in both races. In race 2, I hit Pedro, which wasn't. But it was bad by me. It was just a bit of a brain lapse for me, so had damage. So it kind of made it a bit difficult to overtake into the hairpin. And the same at the end. I just couldn't get the straight line speed at the end to the final corner. So, but no, overall it was actually pretty fun. The racing seemed really good. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you have quite a bit of experience racing, Diogo. There. So what was that like? Is that usually how it goes? I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, he was the Super Cup champion from last year too. So I know he's a good benchmark, but how does that usually go when you and he find yourselves next to each other on the field?
To be honest, it was pretty fun. Like we just said, we were just playing it fair. I made a mistake in race 2 in the chicane, which then gave him the run. He was obviously, don't get me wrong, he was a bit faster than me anyway. Like we could see that from qualifying. Like he was a bit faster, so there's no point of fighting him too hard if we could maximize like a 1-2 in the second race, for instance. So yeah, had to take it on the chin, get on with it. So hopefully get closer next time.
Now, like I said, you guys have a little bit of experience racing Porsche Cup cars. How is that going, and where can we watch more of you and Diogo's performances this season?
So obviously Diogo is done till next year, till the actual Super Cup starts for next year. So I think that starts like February normally for him. Mm-hmm. So this is the first time for him back in the car in a while, he was saying. So pretty good to get him back out. Oh. For me, I race it next weekend at Long Beach for the Super Cup Contender Series, which will be on iRacing Live as normal. So yeah, obviously 2 rounds to go with that. See if we can qualify in a good spot now. So let's see if we can finish it out.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing you there, here, and everywhere else. So big thanks to you for your performance here today, and look forward to seeing more of you in the future.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yep, thanks a lot. All right, it looks like it's time for our second interview. So, bienvenido a la entrevista. Welcome to the interview, Diego Villarreal. How are you doing today?
Hello, Reid. Thank you very much for the interview. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So, what was your race like today in AMX 10?
Today was the worst race of me since I'm joining the league, I think.
So today did not go your way, but a few days ago, you actually won your first race this season. How did that feel?
It was very, very good. First, I think there was the second victory, and it was very fun. Was very good.
So what is your best moment from season 2? Is it that victory?
No, I think in every race I try to take some good part for have a good memory in the future. But I think the best since I'm racing here was to share the track with Max, and of course to win a race. But the most epic moment so far was to race alongside with a 3-time world championship.
Yeah, some really good performances, and we're happy to have you here. If you could give some advice to other racers in AMX or just in general, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, just to try race the more they can, to learn, to try different combinations of track and cars, and have fun. I think the best thing of here is to have fun and race with such a good drivers like we are having here.
Well, thank you for your interview. Do you have any final comments or shout outs before we go?
No, thank you for the interview, and say hi to all the gang from AMX.
All right, I will do that. Congratulations on your wins this season. Sorry today didn't work out, but I'm looking forward to seeing you race more in the future, Diego.
Okay, thank you, Reed. Goodbye, man.
Gracias.
Gracias.
All right, that is going to do it for our interview. I'm going to hit that button and we're good. Okay, that's going to do it for today. Glad we got a chance to hear from some of our other racers. Any final comments on today's races or big memorable moments? Drew, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting to see those top level drivers work through the pack, and Pinto showing us how it's done. I think that in future weeks, if you guys want to get down, if you are a new driver, just like you saw with Diego via Real, you can join us. There's free races, there's paid races, and you can find both of those at amxrace.com. And it's a really cool race, especially if you've never done league races whatsoever. I think at a higher level, if you've never done league racing or anything like that, it's a great opportunity to get involved with this because it's race to race. You don't have to be involved for the whole season. And league racing really does teach you some higher level race technique that you may not see so much in ranked racing, especially if you're a lower rated driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. Any takeaways for you, Brad?
I think the biggest thing for me is to just remember that every single time AMX is impressive. And it's something different every time I show up. And I always show up with this open mind of, I don't know what's going to happen. And then it still shocks me every time. We get some sort of crazy action. We get some sort of turn one chaos. We get something absolutely amazing that I know I'm going to be talking about through the weekend. It's always fun. And it's what makes this league so premier, so unique, and so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, not just the league being fun, but a little bit like Diego Villarreal was saying there at the end. Just go out there, have fun. If you're stressing out about every race, every moment, every time, you're not going to have fun. It's not going to be a good experience for everybody. But if you get out there, you have fun, like a lot of our drivers are having, then it can be a really fun time. So I had a really fun time with you guys. It was great having you with us today for the first time, Drew. And of course, Brad, I mean, I guess you're okay.
Likewise.
Big thanks to everybody else out there for coming out and tuning in, whether you are on track with us or behind the screen watching us on YouTube or Twitch. We'd love to have you for this race and a whole lot more. So make sure to hit that follow button or subscribe on Twitch and YouTube, and we'd love to see you back here again. And if you'd like to join us on track, you can do that by heading on over to amxrace.com and signing up for AMX 0 for free, or AMX 10, which is free if you're fast enough and can get in there with the first 10 tickets for each new race, which we add on an almost daily basis. So make sure you're checking amxrace.com for more opportunities to get involved with Season 3. Big shout out to our drivers who performed amazingly today and gave us so many amazing moments. And of course, a big thanks to our interviewees for their great thoughts after the show. And so that's going to do it. Before we head out, a reminder to share your thoughts and interview questions for our pro drivers or anybody else on social media. You can leave a comment on our Instagram stories. You can also find us on Twitter, AMX_Global. And we'd love to hear what you have to say. And last but not least, if you want to join the conversation in the community, you can join us on AMX Global in Discord. We'd love to have you there. You can find the link right down below our stream on amxrace.com or just by searching for the AMX Global Discord. We'd love to have you in there. You can ask questions of our pro drivers, drop some memes or cat pictures. We'd love to have you in the AMX community this season. We're on track if you want to join us by heading on over to amxrace.com. All right, I think I'm done, guys. It's been great. Loved having you guys here with us and everybody else, and we'd love to see everybody back here again. We're doing it all over again tomorrow, so if you want to join us, we'd love to see you. And until then, on behalf of myself, Drew, Brad, all of the guys in production, people watching wherever you are, I loved having this race today. Let's do it all over again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Peace.
You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. Take it all the way. You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. You got